to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 800-316-6394.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the EasyWell Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
There you have it, folks. The quiet after the storm. Live look at Tel Aviv as well as the White House. Why? Because President Trump has brokered a peace deal between Israel and Iran. And hopefully it will stick so that way we can get past the current situation and refocus on Gaza.
Absolutely. And those shots are amazing. And I'm loving those 2 new flags that the president had installed recently. So freedom. Right?
Freedom brought by peace through strength.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what President Trump is telling European nations. If you want peace, strengthen your military by making certain investments, investing 5% of your GDP. And
grab a cup of coffee and start your day right. Join us for Mornings on the Dove.
First edition.
We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. The Chris Salcedo Show is up next.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, right here. This is the place. You don't need to turn the dial. Just hold on. You're in for a real ride because Jerry's at the controls.
No, Jerry's just riding.
Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful weather. Hot out east. Wow, they're baking out there. So kind of mixed bag of weather, and we'll talk about that. Beautiful here in our backyard. It is warming up. The on again, off again of peace treaties with Israel and Iran that worked for about, 10, 15 hours, and that was the end of that.
Apparently, but they're, he's trying to put it back in place, right?
Yep.
Saying, hey, come on.
Come on, you boys.
Act your age.
Act your age.
Yep. Come on.
As he gets on and heads to NATO, facing another crisis over there with NATO. So anyway, got all that to talk about coming up here this morning, and it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. What do we got here?
Well, we don't have much, but it is National Take Back the Lunch Break Day.
The lunch break day.
Yeah. It says basically there's been an increasing trend to take less frequent and shorter lunch breaks, affecting employee morale and well-being. So it's about giving some time, and the study said that employees who take lunch breaks are more likely to report being efficient at work and satisfied with their jobs. But nearly 90% of employees consider the ability to take lunch critical when accepting a new job. But once they are on the job, the average lunch break is less than 30 minutes for more than half of North American workers. How about that?
Well,
I don't think that applies here.
No, we're eating all the time.
And, it's one of these things that kind of goes around us.
Yeah. There's food somewhere around here.
All the time.
All the time.
And
in fact, it's hard keeping it private.
Right. It's hard not to eat while we're working even.
If it's in the building, it's public.
It's true. So anyway, so you guys who are struggling with that, I hope you come to terms with it today.
Well, our affiliate in England, they have 10 and 2, they break for tea. Or 10 and 3, they break for tea. Okay. And then they have lunch in between.
Oh, wow.
So one of my dreams was, I really like what they have. They have an actual, it's a self-serve cafeteria.
Oh, really?
For their staff.
Okay.
But at 10 o'clock, everybody's down there. They have tea and what they call biscuits or cookies.
Okay.
Then their lunch is kind of interspersed in and out. And then at 3 o'clock, there's another little tea and biscuits.
Wow.
A lot of camaraderie there.
Anybody getting any work done?
Well, I don't know. Over there, their work laws are entirely different than ours, but I can tell you that it does. I'm a firm believer that food is the great equalizer.
Yeah. But you know what? There are a lot of folks like me. I struggle to stop and take lunch. I would much rather sit at my desk writing and gathering information for a story and eat on the fly while I don't know what it is.
No, I get that.
I struggle with that.
Yeah, because I think lunch can be overdone. I think sometimes you have a tendency to overeat at lunch.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yes.
Then you get food. Then you come back to work and you have food
coma. Food coma, yes.
What good are you?
Yes. Yeah. All right, well, eat it if you got it. Okay. Moving on. National Pralines Day. Pralines Day honors a confection made from nuts and sugar syrup. Pralines may also refer to any chocolate cookie containing the ground powder of nuts. The powder made by grinding up sugar-coated nuts is called praline. This is an ingredient in many types of cakes, pastries, and ice creams, but when this powder is mixed with chocolate, it becomes praline in French, which gives birth to what is known in French as chocolat praline.
Oh.
But of course. So you like chocolate pralines?
Yeah. They have a good flavor. Yeah.
And well, what they've done during the 19th century, New Orleans chefs substituted pecans for almonds, adding cream to thicken the confection, and thus creating what is known throughout the southern United States as the praline. How about that? Okay, now, getting on to some serious business. When you try on shoes, do you know what size you're putting on every single time? I mean, you just grab your size, and does it always fit?
No.
So you're doing the old thing where you look down at your toe and you push your big toe up, and you feel where the big toe is in relation to the end of the shoe.
Or you stand up.
Right? Yeah. And we're used to doing that with our kids when they're little kids, because it's almost a mystery. Where are your toes here? Yeah. We're trying to fit you. We don't want to jam in. Well, in the good old days, how they used to do this so they'd get it just right? Shoe shops used X-ray machines to measure people's feet and check it out. This is true. Way before radiation was fully understood, shoe shops measured sizes through X-rays from the 20s all the way into the early 1970s. The device was a metal construction covered in finished wood, approximately 4 feet tall, had a ledge with an opening through which the standing customer, adult or child, would put their feet and look through a viewing porthole at the top of what they call a fluoroscope down at the X-ray view of their feet and shoes. 2 other viewing portholes on either side enabled the parent and a sales assistant to observe the toes being wiggled to show how much room for the toes there were inside the shoe. The bones of the feet were clearly visible, as was the outline of the shoe, including the stitching around the edges. In the second half of the 20th century, though, growing awareness of radiation hazards and increasingly stringent regulations forced their gradual phasing out. They were widely used, particularly when buying shoes for children.
Well, there you go.
Radiation poisoning at the shoe store.
I can't believe.
Can you believe that?
No, I don't even.
It was common.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Wiggle your toes. Oh, we can see. Oh, look at. I think you have a hairline fracture on your big toe. Look at that. Have you had that looked at?
For years I wore cowboy boots.
Okay. Yeah.
And the pointed ones.
Yeah. Oh.
And there's a reason they're pointed.
Why?
No, it's true. Why do you think cowboy boots are pointed?
So you can get them into the stirrups.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly right.
All right.
And then all of a sudden your foot starts taking on that shape. You got all kind of bunions.
Well, it's like,
it hurts.
Okay, well, it's like women in
high heels.
High heels.
Yeah. So now, if you see the new cowboy boots, they're square-toed.
Oh, a lot of square toes.
Yeah.
You are right.
And the rubber soles. I mean, we really softened our look here.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
There are different size heels on cowboy boots.
Yeah.
What does the higher heel and the sloping heel or a flatter heel indicate? Is there a special purpose for a heel?
That's to hold your foot in the stirrup.
Okay, so you want that higher heel.
So your foot doesn't slide through the stirrup and then you get caught in the stirrup.
Got it. All
okay,
right.
Especially a saddle bronc guy or a bareback. Well, not a bareback, but a saddle bronc guy.
Yeah.
You don't want your foot getting hung up in the stirrup.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Otherwise, it makes you walk funny.
well, the boots make you walk funny anyway, don't they?
Well,
Hey, that's why John Wayne walked the way he did, right?
Yeah. Well, but anyway, but now I found this new shoe, and they're wonderful.
Oh, the Hoka?
The Hokas.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody, well, now it's kind of a fad around here, but they're initially, they're tad spendy, but you can get a Hoka for any foot problem you have.
True, yeah.
If your feet have to go out, they make one for that. They have to come in. They have all these terms for all that.
Yeah.
But since we have, concrete floors around here, it's really nice.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to put your foot in an X-ray machine to get them to fit right.
No, but
right?
There you go. Well, it's interesting that a guy with a broken foot would do a
a guy who knows all about X-raying your feet.
There you go.
Oh boy.
Okay. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing Romeo work boots.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah.
They have a big round toe on them.
They're nice and wide. And on my right boot, I got my foot into my right boot, but I had to pull my full insole out to make room for it.
Oh, you're still
you pull it on. You go, and the nice thing is they got a tab in the heel, so you can hook your finger in that tab, and then you pull. Thump. Oh, it goes in.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
But we're in.
Okay, that's why he's hitting on all cylinders this morning. Check him out here.
Here's a look at today's weather brought to you by Grange Co-op. Things will remain mostly dry through the Dove region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds with highs in the low to mid-80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, increasing clouds and daytime high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Mostly sunny in Eugene with highs this afternoon near 84. In central Oregon, increasing clouds with daytime highs in the upper 80s for Prineville and low to mid-80s in Bend and Sun River with a light west wind. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 88. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny in upper 60s in Coos Bay, decreasing clouds and breezy for Port Orford with a high near 65 and Brookings near 57, patchy fog then mostly sunny and near 61 in Crescent City. In southern Oregon, sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 87 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny with highs in the mid-80s. Into northern California, sunny with highs in the upper 80s for Wairika, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-90s for Redding and Chico and near 89 in Sacramento with a southwest wind 6 to 8 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-70s in Napa, partly sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-60s, and today in San Jose, sunny in upper 70s. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather, thanks to Grange Co-op.
And look at that beautiful shot of our backyard this morning, and as the temperatures bump a little bit, but still very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. There are messages that we hear coming out of the Bible, especially that pastors preach on. I remember a message on this subject that was preached by Pastor Dave Boya. And, it's interesting how you can go right back to that moment because he was very illustrative in it. He did the whole deal, and I just remember it so well. And here we have it preached by, or at least communicated to us by Pastor Jack Hibbs, as he encourages us to put on the whole armor of God.
But we pray the armor on. The proof is right here in the Bible. Do not miss this. Very familiar passage, but don't miss it. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 says, put on the whole armor of God, all of it. We need all of it, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, trickery, the deception of the devil. Verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. That would be easy. but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. In other words, in our frail humanity, when we pray, we connect with eternity. And we go to war against the invisible forces that are in the atmosphere that are waging war against us, against the truth, against the light. We fight in the heavenly realm. Someone long time ago said, we need to be careful now, Pastor, because we don't want to be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good. I think that came from Satan. No, I'm serious. Well, my mom's got that poster on her wall. Tear it down. I think Satan would want to say, now don't get too fanatical now about talking to God. You know, you don't want to be so heavenly minded that you know earthly good. Excuse me. Our problem is we're so earthly good, we're not heavenly, or we're so earthly minded, we're not heavenly good. How about this? If we're heavenly minded, we will be earthly good.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, we're living in those days. We were talking a little bit about it this morning about people that what I would call like fringe line Christians.
Okay.
They've had an experience with the Lord. Maybe they were raised in the church or whatever, you know. They know just enough about Christianity to be concerned. And with the craziness of the world, now they're all of a sudden they're really interested in prophecy.
Oh.
Time out.
Oh.
Why don't you get interested in having a relationship with God?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they see the craziness of the world, and they know just enough about it that maybe God's up to something. So they take off on all of these tangents dealing with interpretations of prophecy, which in itself can be dangerous.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so why don't you just take that attention and renew your relationship with God?
Yes, amen.
You know,
Yep.
so kind of interesting. Okay, that'll get me an email.
I'm sure it'll be good.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some of the big stories this morning. Good morning to you. Well, the on-again, off-again ceasefire. The president did negotiate a ceasefire between Iran and Israel yesterday, but it didn't last long. And now they're both pointing fingers at each other. Supposedly, Iran broke it and Israel responded, but the president is not happy. He's basically saying to Israel, knock it off and call your pilots home and stop dropping those bombs. And I have to tell you that the president did not use nice language.
Okay.
And scolding Israel. I don't know where this goes. I don't know what's happening, but it we'll see today if Iran continues to lob missiles and what's going on there.
Yeah.
But
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, in a situation like that, where there's been a lot of damage, to the communication systems and such in Iran, I don't know if all the generals are on the same page. Are there any rogue generals out there? Is it possible that perhaps that somebody didn't get the message? And some general out there saying, okay, fire the missiles.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the president got a call from Iran saying, we're going to bomb the base in Qatar. Well, in the meantime, they had moved a lot of stuff out of that base.
Right.
But Iran did warn the United States we're going to attack the base.
Now, isn't this interesting?
It really is.
It is almost like a face-saving move. We have to respond to the attacks by throwing these out, but we don't want to get deeper into this war. So, by the way, they're coming. Everybody duck.
Yeah. And not one of them hit their target.
Amazing. Yeah.
They knocked them all out.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know where this is going to go. The president basically said that attack was very, very weak.
Yeah.
So I think the continuing assessment of what's happened in Iran from Saturday's bombing is still yet to be assessed and determined.
I think Iran is.
But, everybody talks about regime change and all this and that. I don't know. But I think there's one thing about, I was really disappointed that the president used some bad language towards Israel, because you got to remember one thing. Israel is a sovereign state. They can do what they want to do. Now, we have this great relationship with them.
Yeah.
And we are a defender of them.
Yeah.
But there was no need to do this publicly.
Yeah.
And that was not good. So in the meantime, the president is on a plane going to NATO, and NATO's got a whole nother can of worms, because Zelensky is accusing Putin of going over Ukraine and bombing inside Europe.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who did Putin bomb?
It hasn't. He said.
Oh, he's going to.
Going to.
Oh, okay.
So now NATO is all uptight and they're running in there. So is this true? We don't know.
Yeah, where did Zelensky get his info?
And is this Zelensky trying to pressure NATO for letting him in?
I think so.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, NATO is going to be meeting here in the next day or so, and the president's on his way to NATO right now. I really think that as tenuous as the Middle East is, I really think the Russia-Ukraine thing has more potential of getting worse than any other one out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So, well, our president is kind of on a roll right now, isn't he? I mean, it looks like he has brokered a ceasefire in the Middle East after this 12 days of conflict between Iran and Israel. And now the Supreme Court has rolled out and given him a win on the immigration fight that's been going on deportations. He goes over to this NATO meeting, I think, feeling pretty good about what's going on in his administration, wouldn't you think?
I would say so, but understand, keep the silos separate here. When he goes into NATO, it's a different set of circumstances, and what he has in his favor is he's still the biggest supplier.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's still the biggest funder of NATO.
Yeah, right.
So, and he has brought some of their contributions up, but not to where it should be.
Yeah.
But I don't know where this goes, and I don't know if there is a genuine threat from Russia to further infiltrate into Europe. That could be the big one. That could be the problem here. So we'll see. He's on his way to NATO, and again, as I said earlier, President Zelensky is basically saying that. President Putin is interested in going beyond the Ukraine borders. I have no idea what that means, and I have no idea what that is saying. But he went public with it yesterday, and I go, man, he better be able to back this up, or he's going to have really mud in his face.
Yeah, and then, back it up, and then while you're backing it up, can you show us where you spent the money?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That little detail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, see, that one's a tricky deal because Ukraine didn't invade itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got two nations. You got one guy that wants to own the world over there, and you got another guy trying to defend his country who's a crook. So what do you do with it?
What a combo, yeah.
What do you do with this? I mean, all of a sudden, this pralines and cream are pretty good. You like praline ice cream?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, anyway. As the world turns, that used to be a soap opera.
It didn't, yes.
Was it As the World Turns?
Yeah, yes.
It was?
Absolutely.
Who was it? It was Dean Martin called it As the Stomach
As
Turns.
the stomach turns. Yes.
We'll be right back.
Jetboat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Our goal at the Dove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at the Dove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at the Dove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you'd like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
All right, good morning to you. 22 minutes now past the hour on a beautiful Tuesday morning as we hop on down the bunny trail.
You know, we try to avoid hopping down rabbit trails, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's almost impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, good morning to you. A couple stories in our own backyard. This is kind of interesting. The Port of Portland has granted a long-term lease to, I think it's called Zog Timber Solutions. This is a huge, huge company that builds wood products, and they're moving their company to the Port of Portland. Now, I don't know if you have flown through, there it is. See that upper picture?
Yes.
That's the Portland Airport.
Yeah.
And they have remodeled the Portland Airport using wood products. Absolutely gorgeous, which is a reflection of the Pacific Northwest. Anyway, this company apparently makes material like that, plus a lot of it. This is going to be a major lumber company in the Pacific Northwest. Now, this counters everything that I've been talking about because this company is coming into Portland to set up shop. So we'll see how this goes, but they're going to be down at the port where they can obviously export or import, but they're a major wood manufacturing company. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting. It really is, you know, but I don't know if they cut a deal. Now, I will say this. If it's like an enterprise zone or something like that, I don't know what's going on up there at Portland. Could ask some other people about it, but it's possible they gave them every incentive in the world to come in and do business, you know. Well, in our own backyard, you know, we've often talked about here 2 years ago, there was so much hemp around here that you couldn't breathe the air.
Yeah.
A lot of it's gone, but some of it's still around. Well, there was a big bust out in Cave Junction the other day. Authorities seized more than 7,000 illegal marijuana plants and 300 pounds of processed marijuana, all illegal. And it was over in Josephine County, outside of Cave Junction a little bit. And they worked with the FBI and a bunch of people, and they busted them. So we do know that there are legal marijuana operations in our backyard.
Yeah, plenty.
Plenty. So, but is this still giving way to illegal? And apparently it is, because this is a big operation.
It was, and especially because that it was a big operation, makes me wonder, have they linked this to cartel activity?
That I don't know yet, but you wonder, don't you?
Yeah, because that generally is what has happened. And for a while, cartels were going right out into the open and putting these under, the greenhouse coverings, simply because it was so prevalent across the county that it was hard to keep track of who was who.
Well, I do know we have these crazy laws in Oregon where you can actually grow your own marijuana plant, but anyway, this was illegal, and I would imagine if it's black market that it was connected to some kind of organization. Yeah. And it also tells us that it's out there and it's still available. Now, the other thing is, Peggy and I, we were driving Sunday, we went around this corner and I said, honey, look, on that corner, there were 3 cannabis stores.
Oh, no kidding. You're kidding me.
3 separate cannabis stores.
Really?
I go, look at this. And we don't know who's in there. We don't know what they're taking, and they're driving.
Oh, yeah, well.
Or they're doing surgery. Or they're drilling on your teeth.
Let me ask you this. When you drive by a bar and you see everybody parked in there, do you wonder the same thing?
Same thing.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yes.
You know, since I'm on a little roll, I'll give you another one.
What?
All right, here we are heading into 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
Have you noticed all the fireworks stands are back?
Oh, boy.
What are we doing?
I don't know. It's like a tinderbox out there. It's like, let's...
Why are we doing this?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I will say that what's so interesting to me about the fireworks stands, they're everywhere. And I realize that there's fundraising for some people and all that. I get all that. But, man, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But on the 4th of July, do you know how many illegal fireworks are set off?
Yes, I do, because I've seen them.
Get them?
Yeah, well, yeah. Out of state, Indian reservations, places that federal law doesn't prohibit, or even state law. Yeah.
I can't even. I know that the police authorities, all they do is run around and hope that nothing catches fire because there's so much of it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You want to buy good fireworks?
Don't tell me this.
Go to Montana.
Oh well, I don't.
North Dakota.
Oh,
you can get the big mortars, the whole deal. And we bought them before, but I have never dared light them off in the summertime. We've always used them on New Year's.
Oh, okay.
And we take them skiing, and we do it up on the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, here we are going on the 4th of July. We've already had 3 fires in our backyard.
Yeah.
And there's a fireworks stand on every corner.
Well, yeah, it's a good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that I made my point.
And it wouldn't be so bad if people were just throwing up Oregon fireworks because, ours don't go off the ground.
Well,
but they still are hot and burn.
Look,
yeah.
On the 4th of July, I could sit in my backyard and see illegals all over the valley.
I know.
And you kind of go, where in the world did they come from?
It's shocking. It is. It's really
Not
shocking.
to mention the people that go out in the middle of the night and shoot their guns. I mean,
especially out in my neck of the woods.
That one day we lose our mind.
We do.
We lose our mind.
Yes.
Well, let's get it back. Let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going weather-wise. Pretty nice out there, actually. Severe clear up and down the Pacific West, Northwest. And according to Jerry, it could get high 80s today.
Yeah, we're kind of adjusting. We're looking at low 90s, but it looks like we're not going to really break into the 90-degree mark, and then even a little bit cooler tomorrow. So all in all, not bad for early summer.
All right.
How about that? All right. Well, we talk about regime change in Iran and what it might mean. We saw what happened when the Shah was toppled, and they got worse than what they toppled.
Yeah.
But Heritage Foundation National Security Vice President Victoria Coates discusses whether Iran regime change would be good for the world. And she did this on Varney and Company.
I think the president's bottom line has been for more than a decade the degradation of their nuclear program because the regime is so intractable and they are so hostile and anti-American and anti-Israel. So I think he's been focused on the nuclear program, obviously dealt them a very severe blow over the weekend. But if, the Iranian people choose to take things into their own hands, that is entirely up to them. And I would note, some of us are old enough to remember that they've done that before. We've had a very bad experience with regime change imposed by our military in Iraq and Afghanistan. Obviously, those errands, however well-intentioned, did not work. And so I think if you want to promote democracy, that has to happen organically in the country. And so if the Iranian people want that, and they do decide they're done with a theocracy, I mean, we've all seen on Twitter the pictures of how incredible Iran was in the 1970s, how modern, and a wonderful people and culture. So I would see that as a potentially positive development, but not really the mission of the United States here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think she makes a good point. Mm-hmm. So how do you create an environment where there would be a revolution and the citizens take the country back? And I think it's in the making.
Yeah, it could be.
It's in the making because there's other things they could do to hurt Iran, and they're not doing it. Refineries and reserves, and the things like that. So. Yeah. Minds far greater than ours are figuring this out. I think at the end of the day, they really do want the citizens to have a chance to take their country back.
I think you hit it on the nose, and that's why some of these targets are being spared. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, does that mean the Ayatollah is departed? I don't know. I don't know how this works, but you take away their military capabilities, which is the backbone of the whole operation, and what's left?
Yeah.
Where the citizens can go ahead and do an uprising without fear of being shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. Pralines, huh?
Pralines. That's all we got.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like pralines ice cream?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If it's ice cream, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, ice cream is the great healer.
Yes.
I don't care what your problem is, have more ice cream.
Okay.
If you don't get along with the kids, have more ice cream.
Have more ice cream, yeah.
If you don't get along with the boss, have more ice cream. Have more ice cream.
But only take a 30-minute lunch.
Have more ice.
Have more ice cream.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCV number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Who is really upholding the law? And
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council and your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Don't miss Washington Watch, weeknights at 6 on the Dove TV.
Okay, well, the last 24 hours was an interesting one. President Trump jumps out in front of everybody and said, hey, I put together a ceasefire.
Yes. Yeah.
And to your point, nobody acknowledged it.
Nobody was like, I remember reading it. The only one that gave it verbatim really was Fox. They said Trump claims to broker a ceasefire. Then I go to the other ones, like CBS, NBC, and such, and they're saying Trump claims to have brokered ceasefire, no confirmation from Israel or Iran. Yeah. Over and over again, I'm reading this.
All right, so 2 hours into the so-called ceasefire, CNN complimented him.
Really?
Yeah, which, you talk about fainting.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, here we are now, 10 hours later, and everything's off the table again. It's really crazy. We're just left dealing with what happens. We don't know the inside intelligence to any of this stuff. True. So let's check in with CBN Newswatch and see what they have to say.
This is CBN Newswatch.
It is Tuesday, June 24th, going to begin this half hour in the Middle East, where Israel is accusing Iran of already breaking a ceasefire after President Trump announced that ceasefire Monday night on Truth Social. Iran denies breaking the ceasefire, but Israel is promising to retaliate. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Israel and Iran agreed to President Trump's ceasefire announcement, but within hours, Iran fired 2 missiles toward northern Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the IDF to strike Tehran. Just before the ceasefire began, a deadly Iranian missile slammed into the southern Israeli town of Beersheba. President Trump posted the ceasefire announcement on Monday night. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. He followed that with another post that said, Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace. I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. After Trump's announcement, the Israeli government released a statement and said it achieved the main goals of its military operations against Iran. Israel has removed a dual immediate existential threat, both in the nuclear field and in the field of ballistic missiles. In addition, the IDF achieved complete air control over the skies of Tehran, inflicted severe damage on the military leadership, and destroyed dozens of central Iranian government targets. In the past 2 days, the IDF also hit Evin Prison, the headquarters of the Baghis, and the Israel destruction clock inside Tehran.
These are not sites that have strategic significance, but they have immense political significance. They are the pillars, if you will, of this horrendous regime. And by bombing them, Israel has weakened that regime. And so ultimately, the greatest guarantee we have for a non-nuclear, non-dangerous, non-threatening Iran is by the removal of the regime.
Also on Monday, Reza Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah of Iran, presented himself as a figure who can unify the country if the Iranian government collapses. He said the regime is on its last legs.
The Islamic Republic is collapsing. Credible reports indicate that Ali Khamenei's family and the family of senior regime officials are making preparations to flee Iran.
It remains to be seen if this ceasefire will provide a lifeline to the Ayatollah, or if the 12-day war has so weakened the regime that the people of Iran could rise up to overthrow the government. In an ominous statement, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization said it plans to restart their nuclear program.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from Israel with more. So, Chris, Israeli officials promised to retaliate against Iran for violating the ceasefire. How will Israel strike back?
Well, the question right now, Ephraim, is will they strike back? Because literally just a few moments ago, President Trump put this out on Truth Social. He said, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So because of the back and forth and for the accusations of violation by Israel against Iran, President Trump is really not saying that's a very serious violation. So he's asking Israel to stop it and obviously asking Iran to stop it as well. If they did go, they would likely hit. Many of the targets have been hitting inside Tehran in the last few days. But it seems like right now President Trump is trying to enforce this ceasefire, which he just announced last night. And once again, this is just another, major shift in what's going on. Saturday night, we had Midnight Hammer when they hit Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. And we thought then that the next day he was talking, President Trump, about regime change. Then last night we had missiles fired at Qatar. And so now we have a ceasefire in effect, and seems like President Trump really wants to enforce it.
Is there concern there in Israel that Iran is simply stalling with the ceasefire and wants to rebuild its nuclear program?
Yeah, very much. And I think at the end of our story, we said, the head of the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization said they want to restart it. So I think they want to repair the nuclear facilities, accelerate its nuclear program, and the weaponization. The question some are asking is, where is that enriched uranium people don't know exactly where it was. Some people think it was in Fordow and probably was destroyed in that strike by the U.S. Also, people should realize, for an Islamic point of view, they have something called a hudna, which is a temporary truce to regain strength and then fight their enemies again. Already, the Islamic regime, they're claiming victory despite the massive damage to its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs. We'll see in the next few weeks and months whether or not the ceasefire holds and whether Iran, the regime, continues its nuclear and ballistic missile programs.
What appears to be happening here is the president is a good thinker. Mm-hmm. And if he's pushing for a ceasefire, knowing it will be broke, knowing it will be violated, okay, he will win the public opinion. He's trying for peace, and knowing that they'll continue to violate it gives them the excuse to do another attack on Iran, much like he did over the weekend.
Okay.
So if the Iranian government is saying we're going to continue with the program, that only remains one thing, the regime change.
Could be, yeah. Yep.
Very complicated. Yeah. Very complicated. And you ask a good question. Where is the Have we really found the uranium, the enriched uranium yet?
No.
Did it go down in Fordo or not?
They don't know, because there were reports about a lot of activity at that site, especially a lot of trucks in and out of there. So they're speculating that perhaps some or maybe all of that uranium might have been pulled. So we don't know yet.
Okay. Did they put uranium screws in your leg?
No, titanium.
Oh, titanium.
Oh, that's good.
He's doing the weather here.
Here's a look at today's weather, brought to you by Grange Co-op. Things will remain mostly dry through the Dove region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds with highs in the low to mid-80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, increasing clouds and daytime high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Mostly sunny in Eugene with highs this afternoon near 84. In central Oregon, increasing clouds with daytime highs in the upper 80s for Prineville and low to mid-80s in Bend and Sun River with a light west wind. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 88. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny in upper 60s in Coos Bay. Decreasing clouds and breezy for Port Orford with a high near 65 and Brookings near 57. Patchy fog, then mostly sunny and near 61 in Crescent City. In southern Oregon, sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 87 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny with highs in the mid-80s. Into northern California, sunny with highs in the upper 80s for Wairika. Sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-90s for Redding and Chico and near 89 in Sacramento with a southwest wind 6 to 8 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s in Santa Rosa. Becoming sunny with a high in the mid-70s in Napa. Partly sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-60s. And today in San Jose, sunny in upper 70s. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather, thanks to Grange Co-op.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood. There it is. For those watching on the Dove Radio, we're looking out over the valley this morning. Beautiful day.
Oh, well, by the early 1990s, Billy Joel was already an established rock star, but he had some unfinished business that he took care of on this day in history. On June 24th, 1992, Billy Joel walked across the stage of Hicksville High School not to perform, but to graduate. At age 43, the piano man finally earned his diploma 25 years after leaving school 1 English credit short. Fame, Grammys, and sold-out arenas had come, but that unfinished chapter always lingered. So Billy did what he did best. He wrote. He submitted essays and lyrics as proof of his mastery of language and storytelling. The school agreed. His words passed the test. That day, under summer skies in Hicksville, New York, Billy accepted his diploma with a grin and a humble nod.
Mom, here I am, Mom. I'm actually going to get my high school diploma only 25 years after everybody else got theirs.
The crowd cheered, not for the rock star, but for the student who never stopped learning.
He also said he told his mom that he can now get out of that dead-end job he was in and find a job with a real future. That was cool.
You know, I wish I had the time to investigate the people like Billy Joe and the Steve Jobs and
the Elon Musk
and the Elon these people that ended up being world changers.
Yeah.
And even Rush Limbaugh. He hated school.
Right.
He hated it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people excel in spite of, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, 1/4 before the hour. Focus on the family. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day. When we took over the Dove back in 1983, we were the second, I think we still are, the second longest radio station to carry Focus on the Family.
Wow.
We signed on with Focus on the Family. We signed on with Chuck Swindoll and Charles Stanley. And I think there was a couple of others mixed in there through the years. But they were all supplied through Ambassador Advertising Agency out of Southern Cal. Great people, Peggy Campbell and their family down there. Anyway, bottom line was, we still are one of the oldest stations that carry Focus on the Family.
All right.
Anyway, why did I say that? I have no idea. They were having a nice show, and Susan Alexander Yates, she's a professional, talking about moms raising children well.
It's not been easy. And, you know, Jody, I think whatever season of life we're in, if we're really honest as moms, we will feel like, I've ruined this child. I've just ruined this child. And one day I was complaining to the Lord about this, and I just felt God saying to me, Susan, your ability to ruin your child is not nearly as great as my, meaning God's power to redeem him or her.
And his desire to do that.
And his desire. And you know, there's another thing that has helped me. Once I remember when I was feeling, again, like it's all up to me if this child turns out or not.
Yeah.
And there were two scriptures that were really helpful. They both say essentially the same thing. And one is Hebrews 7:25, and the other is Romans 8:34. And they essentially say that what Jesus is doing right now is sitting at the right hand of the Father, interceding for that child. And I remember thinking, oh, it's not all up to me.
Wow.
God, your son's job description, and it's almost funny to picture Jesus pulling on God. I mean, this is a little fantasy, but Jesus pulling on God's robe and saying, Father, my job is to pray for that child. I'm praying for that child. That mother can't do it all. And that has always refreshed me to know somebody else has my back, and it's Jesus.
Well, there you go. Raise them well.
Yes.
Then send them over to Grandpa. He'll skittle them up.
Yeah. We've changed. We're less colorful now.
Yeah, you skittle them up and then send them back.
Thanks, RFK Jr.
All right, we'll be right back.
It's gotta start right here. It's gotta start right now.
Grange Co-op knows weather is crucial for your outdoor plans. That's why they're pleased to bring you a dependable weather forecast on Mornings on the Dove at 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Plus the Dove Weather Cam, all brought to you by Grange Co-op. This morning's weather and the Dove Weather cameras are brought to you by Grange Co-op. They have what you need for your farm, ranch, apparel, garden, pet, and home.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
The more we see today's headlines, it's as if the signs of the times have become the signs of our times. Join David Jeremiah on Turning Point for his series, Signs, Undeniable Prophecies of the Apocalypse, where he examines Bible prophecy and explains what God has revealed about our present and our future. And most importantly, the hope and confidence you can have today. Tune in to the next Turning Point right here on this station.
Weekends on the Dove TV.
Okay. Well, the Middle East is the Middle East, and it's constantly changing. And just about the time you think it's like a bar of soap in the shower.
Wait a minute. That took on a whole new meaning recently as I was showering with a broken leg on a stool. And you drop your shower and you try to pick it up with your foot. Have you ever tried to pick up a slippery bar of soap with your foot?
Good thing you're sitting down.
Yes.
You know what? This is a mental picture. I don't need to say this. This is
you brought it up.
This is not good. The only thing I'm trying to say is slippery.
Okay, all right. I agree. Sorry about that.
Jerry's sitting on a stool trying to get a bar of soap
with a foot.
With his good foot.
With my good foot, right.
Okay, well, whatever. I had Robert Spencer on. He's with Jihad Watch, and we talked about the fact that how many times our forces in the Middle East have been attacked by the proxies of Iran, you know. So they've hit Americans. Anyway, here's what he had to say.
The Iranians have now, I think, 3 times
over the last week said, tonight there's going to be something we're going to do that is going to be remembered for centuries all over the world. And of course, thank God, 3 nights have passed and their threats have turned out to be empty. But their nuclear program appears to have been set back by a great deal, if not completely destroyed. And for that, we can be all grateful. The Iranians have been on a war footing with the United States as well as with Israel ever since 1979. They've committed numerous acts of war against the United States that have not been answered by American authorities. Just take one example. A couple of years ago, during the Biden administration, Senator Tom Cotton asked the Defense Secretary at the time, Lloyd Austin, have U.S. forces come under attack from Iran at any time in the last couple of years? And he said, yes, 83 times. And Cotton says, how many times did the U.S. respond? And he said 4. So that's 79 unanswered attacks in the last few years. It's clear the Iranians were attacking us with impunity. They thought we were weak. We're never going to respond. Trump has changed all that and changed history forever as a result.
Wow.
That's his take.
Yes.
All right. Coming up, Laura Cardozo-Moore, looking forward to her because she's a hawk for Israel. We'll talk to him. And Michael Busler, is the economy up or down? I was in a meeting yesterday talking about Southern Oregon economy.
Yeah?
I'll tell you about it later. It's pretty interesting. How's that for a tease?
Well, that is a tease. All right. Well, sometimes we see images, especially online, that just naturally put a smile on your face. And I have one this morning showing the joy and friendship between a dog and his buddies, the little pigs.
They say golden retrievers are the happiest dogs, and this video is further proof. As soon as his owner opens the barn door, this happy farm pup makes a beeline for its favorite spot. Not a toy, not a treat, but the pig pen. With one joyful leap, he clears the fence and lands right in the middle of his piglet pals, and the tiny pigs immediately swarm him. The still shots from the video capturing his mid-air leap and content expression are absolutely priceless. It's a great reminder to all of us to wag more and bark less.
Oh, yeah. Wag more, bark less.
I love that.
Well, that's it's always fascinating to me how different animals can communicate.
Yes, and give facial expressions.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So was the pig talking to the dog?
But they sure were happy to see him.
Well, I got to thinking about that,
Yeah.
And look at all the weird people here, and somehow we're able to communicate.
Sometimes we even use English.
Yeah, I mean, you can just walk around here, you can sense it,
Mm-hmm.
No, but isn't that interesting that the dog would have the relationship with the little baby pig? You ever had a litter of pigs?
No, I never have. Yeah.
They are wonderful.
Yeah. They're supposed to be pretty smart and stuff,
Yeah,
from what I hear.
Did you know that from the time you can set a clock, 333.
What's that?
The gestation period of a pig.
Really?
3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, and you can set a clock.
No kidding. I've never heard that one before. That's
true.
Interesting.
That's true.
333.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then get ready, because when they start to come, boy, they just keep coming. They're all over the place. They're all over the place.
Oh,
and pigs are really smart. They're smart animals. So.
Yeah, and so are golden retrievers. Yeah. And very, very sweet and very friendly. I have a really smart golden retriever.
You do?
Yeah, his name's Jeter.
Jeter.
He's named after Derek Jeter, the famous Yankee. I have another one that's named Mo. I have the nickname of one of the greatest Yankee pitchers of all. I inherit dogs, and they come with these Yankee names. So you know where I get my dogs? From my kids.
Oh.
Yeah. They say, our yard's too big. They outgrew it. Can you take another dog? Yeah.
Really?
Bring them up. Yeah, bring them up here. I'll take them. Which one am I getting? You're getting Mo. Okay. We got room for a pitcher on our team. You got Jeter. We need a shortstop. Okay.
So do you purposely name them, or they come with those names?
No. My kids, they get them from someone else, and they rename them. Oh. They're the only people that rename an already established dog name, and they give it a new name. And the dogs learn their new name.
Yeah, you can change.
They do.
You can change the call name of a dog. You can. Yeah, you can do it. All right, Hebrews 13, verse 8. Jesus Christ is, listen to this, the same yesterday, today, and 3 weeks from now. Forever. Now, isn't it interesting? Everything else changes, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So what he said he would do, he'll do, and he keeps doing, and he'll continue to do. All right. Stick around. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Bulls, bears, and other market beasts. How can you be sure they won't eat your investments alive? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. As you navigate the stormy seas of investing, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today. 541-494-1034.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
EMS says we're going to take her to the hospital. More doctors and more machines start coming, so I said, what's going on? She says, they're giving her chest compressions. I said, for what? She said she can't breathe. And I said, God, I say, this is your child. I say, I trust you.
Tuesday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV. You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Rafael and the North Bay. Seen on KQSL 17 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove on this beautiful Tuesday morning, where this is where it happens. As Jerry's here and he makes it happen.
Good morning.
And I'm here to put us back on the road to recovery.
That's important.
It's important. So whatever he does, I'll get you. You know, he gets off the freeway, I'll get us back on. He gets on the fronty road, he'll get it back on.
Yep.
Anyway.
And you know, heaven knows I'm in need of recovery.
Yeah, there's just some things that counseling won't do. Yeah. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A lot going on in the news. On again, off again. Ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and that got a little touchy over the last 24 hours. We'll talk about that. The president's on his way to NATO. There's problems over there. I don't know. Just, you know, a lot to pray about, a lot to talk about, but how are you doing? How's your relationship with the Lord? You know?
Yeah.
Draw to him, not away from him.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, good morning to you. What's up?
Well, are you taking a lunch break these days? And if you are taking a lunch break, how long is it? Well, today is National Take Back the Lunch Break Day, as there has been an increasing trend to take less frequent and shorter lunch breaks, and they say that it affects employee morale and well-being. Now, I don't think this applies to here, Perry, because we eat all the time. I mean, it's like there's no parameters around when we eat.
Well, you know what's interesting about the food here?
What?
It walks through that door, and it's public.
Yeah, it's true.
I've known people's personal lunch boxes get raided around here.
I see people put names on things now once in a while.
And if you don't put a date on it, I'll throw it away.
I know you will. But, you know, that's a real problem, especially in work refrigerators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff gets lost back there, and it gets forgotten, and it's alive. It starts to grow.
You open the door and something's moving, you got a problem in there.
So if you brought your lunch to work today, enjoy it. If you're going to buy it, hurry up, because if you're only taking about a half hour for lunch, you hardly have enough time to buy it, sit down, and eat it.
I don't even enjoy. I gotta be careful here, but
okay,
it's gotten too expensive to buy lunch.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, have you gotten a hamburger lately?
Right. Oh, yes.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, and it's not getting any better.
My $5 taco stand's now $9.
Oh, no.
I go, forget that.
Yep. Oh, golly. All right. Well, then have some pralines, because it's National Praline Day, honoring a confection made from nuts and sugar syrup. Pralines may also refer to any chocolate cookie containing the ground powder of nuts. Now, the powder made by grinding up sugar-coated nuts is called praline. This is an ingredient in many types of cakes, pastries, and ice creams. But when this powder is mixed with chocolate, it becomes praline in French, which gave birth to what is known in French as chocolat praline. Ho, 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 but of course. Now, change it a little bit when it came to the United States, as French settlers brought the recipe to Louisiana. And during the 19th century, a New Orleans chef substituted pecans for almonds, added cream to thicken the confection, and thus created what is known throughout the southern United States as the praline. So however you like it, enjoy it. It's
all right.
Your day. Okay, now, this is a very important topic. Shoe fitting. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how much feet keep growing afterwards. Did your feet keep growing in your adult life?
You know, that's a good question. I know your ears do.
Well, yes, absolutely. And so does your nose, actually.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, but I got married in a pair of 9.5 Fry boots. 9.5. I'm wearing 11s today. My foot has grown a size and a half.
Oh, you walk on them too much.
I walk on, you know. I'm trying to keep ahead of Pam. It's hard to keep ahead of her.
Right.
So anyway, fitting shoes. You know, when we fit shoes, we put our foot in, and you typically raise your big toe, right?
Yeah.
Where's the toe? And especially for kids, because we're trying to figure out, we need a proper fit. Are they going to grow into it?
Yeah.
Is it too tight? Well, in the good old days, shoe shops used X-ray machines to measure shoe sizes. Way before radiation was understood, shoe shops measured sizes through X-rays. This happened between the 20s and the early 1970s.
Really?
The device was metal construction covered in finished wood with a ledge and an opening throughout which the standing customer, whether an adult or child, would put their feet and look through a viewing porthole at the top of what they called the fluoroscope. Down at the X-ray view of the feet and shoes, two other viewing portholes on either side enabled a parent and a sales assistant to observe the toes being wiggled to show how much room for the toes were inside the shoe. The bones of the feet were clearly visible, as was the outline of the shoe, including the stitching around the edges. In the second half of the 20th century, growing awareness of radiation hazards and increasingly stringent regulations forced their gradual phasing out. They were widely used, particularly when buying shoes for children.
Wow.
Let's go give our kids radiation poisoning, but at least they're going to have a proper fit on their shoes.
Well, there you go. That's it. I did not know that.
Oh, man. Yeah. How about that?
Speaking about a guy that's been over-radiated, he does the weather here.
Here's a look at today's weather, brought to you by Grange Co-op. Things will remain mostly dry through the Dove region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds with highs in the low to mid-80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, increasing clouds and daytime high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, mostly sunny in Eugene with highs this afternoon near 84. In central Oregon, increasing clouds with daytime highs in the upper 80s for Prineville and low to mid-80s in Bend and Sun River with a light west wind. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 88. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny in upper 60s in Coos Bay, decreasing clouds and breezy for Port Orford with a high near 65 and Brookings near 57, patchy fog then mostly sunny and near 61 in Crescent City. In southern Oregon, sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 87 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny with highs in the mid-80s. Into northern California, sunny with highs in the upper 80s for Wairika, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-90s for Redding and Chico and near 89 in Sacramento with a southwest wind 6 to 8 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-70s in Napa, partly sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-60s, and today in San Jose, sunny in upper 70s. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather, thanks to Grange Co-op.
All right, beautiful shot of the southern Oregon region, better known as the Rogue Valley, and it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice. All right, time for Pastor Jack Hibbs. He's got encouragement. And says, while taking up the whole armor of God, to be sure and take the shield of faith with you.
Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, verse 13, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, I think it's now, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Verse 16, above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. Amen. That's the Bible telling you, whatever Satan throws at you, pick up the shield of faith. Know your Bible. Watch. Don't have faith in faith. I know you hear this on Christian TV all the time. Don't have faith in faith. That's insane. What is that? Nope. You're to have faith in the Word of God and in the power of God. When you take up the shield of faith, the Bible says faith comes by hearing, hearing by the Word of God. So hold up that shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff all the way around. All right, good morning to you. 9:30 past the hour. Let's take a look at the top stories, and obviously what's happening now in the Middle East is so interesting. The president did negotiate, supposedly, a ceasefire yesterday evening between Israel and Iran. And according to Israel, Iran broke the ceasefire within hours, and Israel retaliated, and the president comes unglued. So, hey, you guys, knock it off.
Right.
And he basically says to Israel, turn those jets around, tell your pilots to come home, don't drop those bombs. Well, Israel obeyed.
Yeah.
And they did come back.
Yep.
All of this while the president's getting on Air Force One and going to NATO, which is a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
But the ceasefire was violated. And the question is, what happens today? We don't know yet. We'll see how this plays out.
You know what? I have a feeling that ripple, that wave from the ceasefire violation will calm down today. I really do.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point. It's very possible that the ceasefire wasn't communicated down the ranks.
Right. Yeah. Was there a rogue general out there somewhere? Do they have bad communications? Was somebody just, I'm going to do this anyway? There are a lot of factors, I think.
Yeah, and you don't know what communication Iran has left.
Right. True.
So anyway, we'll see where this goes. In the meantime, as you know, yesterday, Iran called the president and said, we're going to fire some missiles at your base over in Qatar.
Yes.
I mean, like, hey, we're going to come at you. Get ready.
Right.
Well, they did lob some missiles over. Most of the armament at the military base in Qatar was moved. But in the meantime, our jets shot down all the missiles.
Right.
None of them hit a target.
Right.
Nobody was hurt.
And they telegraphed the play which basically to some folks indicates that it was just a retaliation to save face.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to really do any damage, so they gave them a heads up on it, which indicates that they really, I think, want to go into this ceasefire.
It's possible. I think the other thing we don't know is, are they running out of missiles?
Oh, yeah, great question.
You know, they have to start inventorying what's left and what are their capabilities and which way do they aim them. Well, in the meantime, the president basically said to the response from Iran to Qatar was weak.
Yeah.
It was weak.
Yeah.
So that's going on. In the meantime, the president is heading to NATO today, and this is going to be interesting because in the last 24 hours or so, President Zelensky there from Ukraine is accusing Putin of showing interest of bombing other parts of Europe. Now, we don't know if this is true, but it did go public, and the question is, whoa, what if it's not true? What if it is true? Does this give consideration for Ukraine to become part of NATO? The buffer between Russia and Europe is Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they're not a part of NATO.
Did Zelensky say Putin had bombed parts of Europe or was going to?
Was going to.
Okay, and where does he get his information?
I don't know.
Do we trust him?
Do we trust him? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what you do with this guy.
Yeah, I
mean,
don't
he's
either.
Obviously trying to do the best to protect his country, but also it looks like he is he trying? He's got a lot of corruption in his life.
Right, and is he trying to maneuver their way into NATO? Is that what this is about?
It appears to me, with no evidence of anything.
And what do you think?
This is a move to get into NATO.
I think, I think so. Now, what do you think their chances are of getting in?
Well, what do they have to offer?
Nothing.
They can't pay NATO anything.
Right.
So would they take the money they're getting from America and give it to NATO for military protection?
Oh, goodness. Oh, well, nobody knows where they're spending it, so why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really think that this has more eruption problems in the Middle East. Because Putin is looking for survival as a leader.
Right.
And he does not want to take parts of Ukraine. He wants it all.
Right. Now, does this unrest in the Middle East open up a door of opportunity for someone like Putin? Because our attention is somewhere else. We're looking over here at the conflict in the Middle East. We're looking at the oil prices. We're looking at trying to avert World War III. We have nuclear weapons involved. And in the meantime, the stuff goes on in this front that we don't really have an eye on.
Well, it could be bait and switch. I don't know. But one thing, I think we were all surprised that the ground military operation of Russia was much weaker than we thought.
Yeah.
And their armament was just really tin cans.
Right.
You kind of go, is this it? This is it? Are you really a paper tiger here? But I think the president has one thing left to take care of Russia and China, and I don't know if it'll ever be imposed, but he can put severe sanctions on these two countries, and their economy cannot handle any more sanctions.
Right.
So I don't know. We're not on the inside. We're not part of. Did you notice we're not part of the Beltway?
No, we're not part of the deal. And have you noticed everything is the deal? It's the deal. It's
the deal.
Yeah, the deal. I remember when before the strike into Iran, and before the war started the conflict started between Israel and Iran, and then when it started, Trump saying, "I told Iran they should have taken the deal. They had the deal last Thursday. Should have taken the deal." It's like everything is the deal these days.
Well, you got to read The Art of the Deal.
That's what it makes me think of. Yeah,
you have to read the book because if you can get through the first half, because it's pretty egotistical.
Oh, shocking.
Duh. But you get into the back part of the book where he starts making deals.
Yeah.
You begin to understand his strategy. Now, you may not like him. But his strategies work. And you kind of go, okay, you've got to take a look at that.
Yeah, Donald Trump kind of reminds me of the old baseball player Ted Williams. Ted Williams was a cantankerous, kind of ornery guy that didn't get along with a lot of people, but boy, you wanted him on your team because that guy could hit the cover off the baseball. It was amazing. There's some similarities in these.
Yeah, it actually, there's several books out that you can read that deals with personalities and and birth orders and all that. There's one out that really describes the president. And then when you realize that it's who he is as a person, and there are other people like him, then the challenge is, how do you manage this person in your life?
Right.
Without letting them get to you.
Here's the weird thing too, Perry, and maybe you can comment into this, is that there seems to be a public persona to this president and then a private persona. In that when people meet with him privately, and I think of Bill Maher as an example, he came out and said, eloquent, very engaging, not overbearing, a gentleman during their meeting. I thought, there is a difference, it seems, as though how he, portrays himself in public as opposed to how he is behind closed doors.
Well, I've heard this numerous times.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me. My 5 personalities every once in a while are very pleasant to be around.
Okay.
I think in the psycho world they call that bipolar.
That's right.
I don't know. We'll be right back.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
All right, good morning. 19 past the hour. Happy Tuesday to you, and beautiful day in the neighborhood. And pralines is kind of like the thing today. Now you can do it in various ways. It's ground nuts, basically, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you put it in ice cream?
Yeah, you can put in all kinds of stuff, and it's good.
Okay. A little Oregon news. In fact, our legislatures hopefully will get out of the building sometime this week. Boy, they're doing the tax thing for the Department of Transportation bill.
Yeah.
I think they may have figured out a way to tax oxygen.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But interesting news. Now, I've always said, you don't tax gas because that drives commerce away.
Yeah.
Well, to put a little mud in my face, I don't know why this occurred, but a big company is moving to Portland. They're going to the Port of Portland. I think it's called the Zog Timber Solutions. They're a huge lumber company, and they make all kinds of lumber products. And they have signed a long-term lease at the Port of Portland, and they're going to start making products, much like what you see there at the Portland Airport. They redid that, which certainly is an image of the Pacific Northwest with all the beautiful woodwork.
Yeah.
But this company is huge, and they are going to be doing wood products at the Port of Portland. I would assume, I guess they can put it on boats and ship it out or whatever, but they signed the big lease, and this is a big company coming in, so kind of interesting. The only thing I can think of is being down at the port, there's probably every incentive that you can think of to make it easy for this company to come.
Yeah,
It could be like what they call an enterprise zone, where you give special tax relief to bring these companies in and stuff like that. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Then in our own backyard, over the years, especially up till about last year, we were overtaken by hemp farms, and they were stealing water and everything else. Well, all that's kind of calmed down now, and there are some legal operations out there. Not many, but a lot of it's gone. But there's some bad things going on, such as the case out in Cave Junction. They did a raid on a place out there, 7,000 illegal marijuana plants and 300 pounds of processed marijuana were seized this past week. And I don't know if it's connected to the cartel. Jerry, you asked that question. I don't know that. But it just shows you that the bad people are out there doing their thing, and they're still out there. So, and we still legally grow and process it here in this state. So you kind of wonder, it's easy for somebody to do this.
Yeah, they were actually doing it. The cartels were growing out in the open under greenhouses similar to what legal growers in the state were doing. So it was hard for law enforcement to sort out who was who.
Who was who.
And but they've been getting pretty good at it. So, and obviously continuing, because they've done another big bust here. So
that's a big bust. And I don't know where this is going to go, because we still grow it and sell it.
Yeah.
We turned the corner the other day, and literally on one corner were 3 cannabis stores. They all had interesting names on them,
Of course.
The Spot.
The Spot. Right. Yeah.
Or, I get somebody, High Country.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
You set up a cookie stand outside for the Girl Scouts, and you sell to customers.
I don't know.
That's what you do.
And I thought, well, okay. Even though we recalled the measure, where we were legalizing everything, they rethought that one.
Yeah, well, thank goodness. Oh, my word.
But anyway.
We lost our minds out here.
Well, thank you, FBI, and thank you, Josephine County, for their work on this, and catch these guys. Good stuff all the way around. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Tuesday morning. Thank you, Preston. He has Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call him, because you don't have to mow it, water it, trim it.
Look at this.
Look at it. Yeah, pretty happy out there.
Yeah.
Is this the on again, off again?
Oh, I think they're looking at the Middle East and they're smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
245 points up with the Dow. The Nas is up 165, and the S&P up 39. So some deep green ink this morning. That's encouraging. Gold down a little bit, 33.14. Silver's down $2, $35. Hey, is that almost like a $5 jump?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Crude oil, 65 and 81 cents. That's way off. Right?
Way down. And I heard this was a direct result of the news that the Straits of Hormuz will not be closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Everything at the end of the day is connected to something.
And it's almost daily that I'm watching clips of Secretary of State Marco Rubio talking and educating liberal reporters. And I don't know what we have here, but I enjoy them. But here, Heritage Foundation National Security Vice President Victoria Coates joined Fox Business's Stuart Varney and responded to this clip of Secretary of State Marco Rubio talking to a reporter.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I see that question being asked in the media. That's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have everything they need to build a weapon. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons.
I'm going to trust the President and the Secretary of State here, Stuart. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous for a reporter to badger the Secretary of State about intelligence. He's not going to give her classified material on a Sunday show. It's just, as you said, it's irrelevant, and he's 100% correct. The only reason you have a wide range of these facilities that Iran has, the only reason you enrich to over 60% is if you want to bomb. This program has cost them $2 trillion that they don't have over the last 20 years. And the Iran apologists wave around the rumored fatwa that the supreme leader issued against a nuclear weapon. I've never seen it. I've asked folks to produce it, find it online. There must be some copy of it. It doesn't exist. This is all a PR campaign by Iran to try to trick people into thinking they're not doing what they have obviously been doing. And the president wouldn't stand for it, and he's putting a stop to it.
Wow. Okay, this goes back to something you and I talk about a lot, and that is when there's a major event, the first thing I do is go to all the networks to see how it's being reported.
Yeah.
And this past weekend, as I was unfolding this and looking past, trying to figure out, what's real, what's not, I was genuinely angry at the, I guess you could say, the irresponsibility reporting of CNN, MSNBC, and some of the other ones, and I'm going to go ahead and name them, only because they were absolutely, in some ways, not only were there questions like this one, but their comments were so bad and so irrelevant. It had nothing to do with Iran getting a bomb.
Right.
It was all over the president's actions.
Yeah,
and I'm
of course.
Thinking, don't you understand what's at stake here?
Yeah.
So I would say that the other thing I didn't understand this, I don't know why, and Fox is guilty of this. They'll actually report on what another network is saying.
Right.
Why are you doing that?
Right.
What
That's
a
true.
waste of time.
Gives credibility to a report that has no credibility.
No,
Yes.
if your competitor is your main news story, you just lost it.
Right.
There's other things to talk about.
Yep.
But I would say the irresponsibility of the press today, and it's not really press, it's just opinions. And there's even call now for Democrats. Democrats are calling for The View to be pulled back.
I heard that.
And you kind of go, really? Okay, well, have a nice day. But man, the irresponsibility reporting it. And what this whole story brings out is that, what was the motive of that person asking Marco Rubio, Secretary Rubio, about intelligence?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that you're smarter and you have more intelligence than the Secretary of State has? Give me a break.
You talk about chutzpah. Whoa. That is on steroids. Imagine that. Talking to the Secretary of State. She has no idea what intelligence he has privy to, that he's privy to, that she has no clue of. And she's going to talk to him about U.S. intelligence? It's interesting.
It is. We're in a really interesting time in America. I don't know where you go to hear trust. I just read a big story yesterday. It was a research on Christian media, music versus hybrid formats, radio, which would be talk and some music, teaching and some, kind of like we are in some areas.
Yeah.
And I'm reading all this and I'm going, you got to be kidding me that people are upset that every time you tune into something, you don't get an euphoric feeling.
You know what? Now you're looking at some folks and their attendance in a church.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
Right.
And I'm going, okay, so I don't know where the line is anymore. The line is blurred, and no, you should say this more. No, you're saying that too much. You should be over here. You should do this. You should that. By the time you get home, you're worn out from it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why you want to get some vanilla ice cream, take some pralines and grind them up, almost into liquid form. Mix that into your ice cream, okay, and pig out. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Live the adventure with Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions. Discover your wild side in the heart of the Pacific Northwest with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning rogue river scenery, and incredible wildlife sightings. It's an experience like no other. Plus, you can enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, a place where families connect, friends unite, and the river brings it all to life. Visit Hellgate.com to book your adventure. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Okay, welcome back. Happy Tuesday to you, and beautiful day in the neighborhood. Heat wave across the eastern part of the United States. I mean, you're talking really hot stuff.
Big stuff, yep.
Yeah, so be careful as we get into the 4th of July weekend. You've got fireworks stands and heat waves and dry grass. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And smart.
And air tankers parked out on the tarmac out here. Yeah, what a blend, what a combo.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
All right, good morning to you. Well, look, this on-again, off-again peace treaty, or not peace treaty, ceasefire, has left the Middle East again very anxious. So let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up.
This is CBN Newswatch.
It is Tuesday, June 24th, going to begin this half hour in the Middle East, where Israel is accusing Iran of already breaking a ceasefire after President Trump announced that ceasefire Monday night on Truth Social. Iran denies breaking the ceasefire, but Israel is promising to retaliate. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Israel and Iran agreed to President Trump's ceasefire announcement, but within hours, Iran fired 2 missiles toward northern Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the IDF to strike Tehran. Just before the ceasefire began, a deadly Iranian missile slammed into the southern Israeli town of Beersheba. President Trump posted the ceasefire announcement on Monday night. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. He followed that with another post that said, Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace. I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. After Trump's announcement, the Israeli government released a statement and said it achieved the main goals of its military operations against Iran. Israel has removed a dual immediate existential threat, both in the nuclear field and in the field of ballistic missiles. In addition, the IDF achieved complete air control over the skies of Tehran, inflicted severe damage on the military leadership, and destroyed dozens of central Iranian government targets. In the past 2 days, the IDF also hit Evin Prison, the headquarters of the Bajiz, and the Israel destruction clock inside Tehran.
These are not sites that have strategic significance, but they have immense political significance. They are the pillars, if you will, of this horrendous regime. And by bombing them, Israel has weakened that regime. And so ultimately, the greatest guarantee we have for a non-nuclear, non-dangerous, non-threatening Iran is by the removal of the regime.
Also on Monday, Reza Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah of Iran, presented himself as a figure who can unify the country if the Iranian government collapses. He said the regime is on its last legs.
The Islamic Republic is collapsing. Credible reports indicate that Ali Khamenei's family and the family of senior regime officials are making preparations to flee Iran.
It remains to be seen if this ceasefire will provide a lifeline to the Ayatollah, or if the 12-day war has so weakened the regime that the people of Iran could rise up to overthrow the government. In an ominous statement, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization said it plans to restart their nuclear program.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from Israel with more. So, Chris, Israeli officials promised to retaliate against Iran for violating the ceasefire. How will Israel strike back?
Well, the question right now, Ephraim, is will they strike back? Because literally just a few moments ago, President Trump put this out on Truth Social. He said, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So because of the back and forth and for the accusations of violation by Israel against Iran, President Trump is really not saying that's a very serious violation. So he's asking Israel to stop it and obviously asking Iran to stop it as well. If they did go, they would likely hit many of the targets have been hitting inside Tehran in the last few days. But it seems like right now President Trump is trying to enforce this ceasefire, which he just announced last night. And once again, this is just another, major shift in what's going on. Saturday night, we had Midnight Hammer when they hit Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. And we thought then the next day he was talking, President Trump, about regime change. Then last night we had missiles fired at Qatar. And so now we have a ceasefire in effect, and seems like President Trump really wants to enforce it.
Is there concern there in Israel that Iran is simply stalling with the ceasefire and wants to rebuild its nuclear program?
Yeah, very much. And I think at the end of our story, we said, the head of the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization said they want to restart it. So I think they want to repair the nuclear facilities, accelerate its nuclear program, and the weaponization. The question some are asking is, where is that enriched uranium people don't know exactly where it was. Some people think it was in Fordo and probably was destroyed in that strike by the U.S. Also, people should realize, for an Islamic point of view, they have something called a hudna, which is a temporary truce to regain strength and then fight their enemies again. Already, the Islamic regime, they're claiming victory despite the massive damage to its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs. We'll see in the next few weeks and months whether or not the ceasefire holds and whether Iran, the regime, continues its nuclear and ballistic missile programs.
So, I think that could be part of what the presidents know, and that is that the regime is so defeated that they may pick up and go. Yeah. I don't know where they go.
Yeah.
But they go somewhere. So we'll see. Let it play out. But I think in the long run, God be merciful, but for those people in Iran, it would be the best thing in the world if the regime did just pack up and go and get out of town.
And of course, how do you get something in there that is better? How do you ensure that? We saw with the fall of Gaddafi in Libya. And I know Gaddafi was a bad guy. I mean, he was a bad guy. But when he was overturned, when his regime was toppled, look how bad Syria has gotten. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, Libya. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. The son of the Shah apparently is a convert to common sense.
Yeah, and
he's offering to be the interim.
Yeah,
so the question: can you trust him to hold elections?
Okay, that's the big thing, because he's part of the royal family.
Right.
Are they looking at a monarchy again?
I don't know. I mean, that's really the twist and turns of all of this.
Oh boy!
But he's in exile right now.
Yeah.
Because he's not with the regime, so he might be He might be the olive branch.
Yeah, it was interesting looking at him. He looks a lot like his dad.
Yeah.
He really does.
I don't know. Can we send some ice cream over there and just calm
some pralines?
Huh?
Some pralines and cream?
Just calm some things down,
Yeah.
We'll send you over. You can do a weather report.
Oh, yeah. Good luck on that.
Here's a look at today's weather brought to you by Grange Co-op. Things will remain mostly dry through the Dove region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds with highs in the low to mid-80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, increasing clouds and daytime high temperatures in the low to mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Mostly sunny in Eugene with highs this afternoon near 84. In central Oregon, increasing clouds with daytime highs in the upper 80s for Prineville and low to mid-80s in Bend and Sun River with a light west wind. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 88. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny in upper 60s in Coos Bay, decreasing clouds and breezy for Port Orford with a high near 65 and Brookings near 57, patchy fog then mostly sunny and near 61 in Crescent City. In southern Oregon, sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 87 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny with highs in the mid-80s. Into northern California, sunny with highs in the upper 80s for Wairika, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid-90s for Redding and Chico and near 89 in Sacramento with a southwest wind 6 to 8 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s in Santa Rosa, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-70s in Napa, partly sunny in San Francisco with a high in the mid-60s, and today in San Jose, sunny in upper 70s. It's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather, thanks to Grange Co-op.
Wow, beautiful day out there, but look at all that brown. So be careful. High fire danger. We're in the season, so be very, very careful.
And as we mentioned, fireworks stands on one side of the street and air tankers parked on the other streets waiting for fires.
It's just amazing to me. I don't know what you do with that. But, anyway.
Yep. Anyway, moving on. Well, it was in the early 1900s. I mean, let's go back. 1990s. Yeah. Well, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, you're off your meds.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Anyway, but in the early 1990s, Billy Joel was already an established rock star. But he had some unfinished business to take care of, and he did it on this day in history.
On June 24th, 1992, Billy Joel walked across the stage of Hicksville High School not to perform, but to graduate. At age 43, the piano man finally earned his diploma 25 years after leaving school 1 English credit short. Fame, Grammys, and sold-out arenas had come, but that unfinished chapter always lingered. So Billy did what he did best. He wrote. He submitted essays and lyrics as proof of his mastery of language and storytelling. The school agreed. His words passed the test. That day, under summer skies in Hicksville, New York, Billy accepted his diploma with a grin and a humble nod.
Mom, here I am, Mom. I'm actually going to get my high school diploma only 25 years after everybody else got theirs.
The crowd cheered, not for the rock star, but for the student who never stopped learning.
And he finished by telling his mom that he can now get out of that dead-end job he was in, go find something with a future.
Yeah, I just wasn't making enough, Mom.
But imagine that. He was a credit short in English. And, you know, all of the lyrics that he has woven through the years, his mastery of the English language, very important. And I saw an interview with him once, and somebody was asking him, what's the most important thing about your career that you would like to be recognized for? And he says that I was competent at what I do.
Yeah.
I could put lyrics with melodies, and I can intertwine them. I can weave them together in a competent way. And, you know, that's you know, a lot to be said for a lot of occupations.
Yeah.
I get my job done, and I get my job done right.
Well, an old ex-radio jock, if I mention his name, you know who he was.
Okay.
He was 1 semester away from his PhD in psychology.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And he never finished it.
Right.
1 semester from a PhD.
Yes.
In psychology.
And as eccentric as they come.
Oh. but put him on the radio?
Oh,
he was a genius.
I have him in my computer. I have a whole bunch of his cuts in my computer that I listen to once in a while. Yes.
Yeah, but he never got his PhD.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's another story.
Yeah, what a memory. You pulled one up there.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Focus on the Family. Great program, and they always have some great things. And this is they have a new show called Mom Talk. And, it's tough being a mom these days.
Yeah.
Tough being a dad.
Yeah.
Easy being a grandpa. It's called Skittles. Anyway, Susan Alexander Yates talks about raising kids.
It's not been easy. And, Jody, I think whatever season of life we're in, if we're really honest as moms, we will feel like, I've ruined this child. I've just ruined this child. And one day I was complaining to the Lord about this, and I just felt God saying to me, Susan, your ability to ruin your child is not nearly as great as my, meaning God's power to redeem him or her.
And his desire to do that.
And his desire. And there's another thing that has helped me. Once I remember when I was feeling, again, like it's all up to me if this child turns out or not.
Yeah.
And there were two scriptures that were really helpful. They both say essentially the same thing. And one is Hebrews 7:25, and the other is Romans 8:34. And they essentially say that what Jesus is doing right now is sitting at the right hand of the Father, interceding for that child. And I remember thinking, it's not all up to me.
Wow.
God, your son's job description, and it's almost funny to picture Jesus pulling on God. I mean, this is a little fantasy, but Jesus pulling on God's robe and saying, Father, my job is to pray for that child. I'm praying for that child. That mother can't do it all. And that has always refreshed me to know somebody else has my back, and it's Jesus.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mom Talk. I didn't know that. That's a good one. All right, we'll take a pralines and ice cream break.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
This morning's weather and the Dove weather cameras are brought to you by Grange Co-op. They have what you need for your farm, ranch, apparel, garden, pet, and home.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Cliff Connectley travels across America to give an answer to questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
So one of the reasons I believe that God exists.
Join him for Give Me an Answer, weekdays on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Of course, with all the things going on in the Middle East, our head's on tilt, and there was on again, off again, on again ceasefire. We'll see how that works out. In the meantime, NATO's meeting, and President Trump's over there. Ukraine and Russia not getting along. I guess one of the things that is interesting to me, people who are pro-Iran, now I'm not talking about the citizens, just pro-Iran regime.
Okay.
Are they treasonous?
You mean people in our country?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Citizens in our country who are pro-Iran regime.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Killing Jews. So in a way, it's a surrogate way of being an anti-Semite.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Robert Spencer speaks into this, and here's what he had to say. Are you surprised it was a surprise to them?
Well, after so many leaks in Washington and so many things that made it clear that high up in the government are people who consider Iran to be this country that they support rather than the United States, I am surprised that they were able to keep it a secret. I'm very impressed with the Trump administration for doing so. I mean, the treason is everywhere. It's taken for granted nowadays. Did you see, for example, that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department put out a statement right after the bombing saying, our hearts go out to the victims of the tragic bombing in Iran? And I think, are these people Americans at all? Do they have any love for the United States? Are they not aware of the Iranian regime chanting death to America all the time? And the Ayatollah Khamenei saying that's not a slogan, it's a policy. And then they're out there saying, gee, it's a shame Iran got bombed. With that kind of a traitor class and power all over the country, it's amazing they were able to keep this a secret. And it's to their great credit that they did.
Yeah. Man.
And like you said, there are members high up in our government that are, pro-Iran regime. Right. I don't know. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. The loyalty in the United States is now split. They have the same problem in Europe, in some of those countries in Europe, especially in the UK. What do you do with this?
Yeah. Are there people that dislike our president so much that if he decides to stand up against Iran, that makes Iran better in their eyes? That
yes.
Is that crazy?
Yes, and I don't understand. I don't understand that kind of disdain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we saw the same thing with Doge. I think a lot of people recognize the fact that there's a lot of fat and waste in government. A lot of people have been calling out, trimming that fat on both sides of the aisle. And yet when this president does it, all of a sudden there's something really wrong with it in the eyes of a whole bunch of people who just dislike the president. Yeah, it's weird.
It's this personhood that turns people off. And again, we can get into that. I'm not qualified to do that, but there are descriptions of that. But what's amazing to me is that how many people, Republicans, will run on a platform to do what the president's doing. And elect me because I'm going to go to Washington or I'm going to go to Salem and I'm going to change things.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
They never do.
Yeah.
It's all talk and no action.
Yeah.
And then here comes a president that's literally getting it done, but because it's him, it's illegitimate.
Right.
So I don't understand that.
Yeah. It's a weird world that we're living in these days.
It is. It's really crazy. All right. Lori Cadorza-Mora will be with us coming up in a few moments. Always great to have her. She has inside track in Israel. We'll find out what's going on there. And then Michael Bustler, always good to talk to him about. Is the economy booming? Is the oil prices down because of? And is it a continuing going down? Okay. Are we become self-sufficient with energy?
Yeah, I think
I would hope that
we're moving in that direction, I think, again.
Okay. And the economy in Southern Oregon is, and we'll talk about it because I was in a public meeting yesterday, and I was really quite encouraged.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Good stuff happening.
Okay. All right. Well, there are images and videos that you can't help but smile at when you see them. They pop up sometimes online. It's a nice little break to your day, and I have one this morning showing the joy and friendship between a dog and his little buddies, the pigs. They say golden retrievers are the happiest dogs, and this video is further proof. As soon as his owner opens the barn door, this happy farm pup makes a beeline for its favorite spot. Not a toy, not a treat, but the pig pen. With one joyful leap, he clears the fence and lands right in the middle of his piglet pals, and the tiny pigs immediately swarm him. The still shots from the video capturing his mid-air leap and content expression are absolutely priceless. It's a great reminder to all of us to wag more
and bark less.
I love it. What a nice golden retriever. He's got a little friendship with the pigs.
Yeah,
buddies.
I'm always amazed how animals can communicate with one another.
Yeah.
And how sensitive they really, really are. You know?
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while you'll see an elephant rescue a human, and you go, wow, what's going on in their brain? You know?
Right. I come into my garage, I have 3 dogs, and I come in and somebody's made a mess of something, and I'll stand there and I say, who did this? And they go down like this.
Really?
Yeah. They know they did something wrong. And they're like, he did it. He did. He did.
So what do you do, Dad? What do you do?
It's like, I pick it up and go, yeah. What do you do? You know, I try to give them a stern warning. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. And they go, he did it.
He did it.
He did it.
Your grandkids do the same thing?
Yeah, no, I don't tell them. No, actually, I do. You know, there are some things that you have to draw a line with your grandkids and say, enough is enough. Have your grandma tell you about this.
Oh. How's that working for you?
Really well.
Oh, well, I incorporate that. All right, good stuff. All right, Hebrews 13, verse 8. This is a great one, a good reminder. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. So who changes? It's not him. Maybe it's you.
Yeah.
Take a step towards him, not away from him today. Stick around. Got some great guests coming up.
Freedom, sing and testify it, 'cause I've been redeemed. I am a believer.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
How can Christian parents train their kids to know and follow God's design for sexuality in a culture that increasingly rejects it?
Join us as we uncover the damaging misinformation being fed to your children on sexuality and gender identity, and learn effective strategies for grounding them in biblical truth with confidence and grace.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Transformed is a groundbreaking series that every week takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV. Apologetics on major issues so you can know your faith. Watch the John Ankerberg Show, weekdays at 4 on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Welcome to Focus Today, and I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Of course, we are watching with great interest all the things happening in the Middle East, literally around the world. There's the president's heading towards NATO. You got the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. But the Middle East has been dominating things, and since over the weekend, it's pretty amazing that just most of the, if not all, of the nuclear capabilities of Iran have been destroyed. Well, I'm always honored and a joy to have with us Lori Cardoza-Moore. She's the founder and the president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations. She's been a hawk when it comes to things concerning Israel. And she has a great website, very resourceful, pjtn.org is the website. And that's Pacific Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, pjtn.org. Lori, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing well, Perry. It's great to be back on with you.
Thank you. Good to see you. So much to talk about, so little time. Well, what's your 30,000-foot view over the last 2 days?
Oh, my gosh. Well, obviously, this is a miraculous thing that happened. Thank God that President Trump was in office, that he's the president, the commander-in-chief under these circumstances. But it's a miracle. It's Gog and Magog. You know me, Perry. I'm going to look at everything that happens in the Middle East and in Israel specifically from a biblical lens. And to see, because God said in Ezekiel 38, he's going to put a hook in the jaw of Gog and Magog and drag them down into a battle because of what they have done to Israel and to our Jewish brethren. So it's a miraculous time. It was a huge victory for Israel. It's a huge victory for President Trump. And despite the little skirmishes going on this morning, we're living to be part of this amazing time in history. And I count it an honor that God would bring us into this place for such a time as this, especially to stand with Israel.
Okay. In the meantime, there was a ceasefire. Israel says Iran violated it. They responded, the president saying to both of them, knock it off. And I get that. But where do you think this is heading?
Well, the prime minister, I have a statement from the prime minister's office, and the prime minister, there's a lot of misinformation that's out there right now. And I'm sure that President, once he gets done with NATO, he's going to get all the facts of what's going on and who did what. But the prime minister's office put out a statement stating that the ceasefire was set for 7 a.m. this morning. And at 3 a.m., Israel forcefully attacked in the heart of Tehran, struck regime targets, and eliminated hundreds of Baas and Iranian security forces. It was shortly before the ceasefire was due to take effect, Iran launched a barrage of missiles, one of which took the lives of 4 citizens in Beersheba. So that's just a tip of the iceberg. I don't want to go into the whole, but I wanted everybody to hear what is actually going on, because all of the naysayers, the other half of the MAGA movement, who is against defending Israel, against supporting Israel, against what Trump did in trying to bring this to a conclusion, it's going to be difficult, because we saw with Hamas, we saw with the Houthis, we've seen with Hezbollah that even though a ceasefire goes into effect, it's never respected. They always counter. It's always tit for tat. And President Trump has a right to be upset about what's going on. So God willing, this is all going to get sorted out. The question is going to be, can we really trust and rely on Iran to keep their end of the bargain? They've made it very clear. They chant death to America, death to Israel. So we know what they want, what their ultimate goal is. And when you're talking about a regime that teaches that to its citizens, that communicates that rant, as often as they possibly can, to threaten us. How do you trust these people? How do you negotiate with these people? So President Trump needs our prayers. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a huge challenge for him to navigate through this landmine.
Okay, so the overall goal, from what we know, was to denuke Iran. That seems to be accomplished or pretty close to being accomplished, and to free the people, to create an environment by which there could be a revolution to take Iran back. Do you think inevitably that would include a regime change?
I absolutely do. And Perry, we've seen this through the years. We've gotten little bits, snippets and pieces of video messages from Iranians. When Israel is at war with the Middle East, these people are able to get their voices out and heard, asking Israel to finish the job. Going into this war with Trump, we were seeing the same communications coming out. So these people, the Iranians, want peace. They want to go back to living in their Western, using Western values as they did before under the Shah. So, I heard over the weekend that the Iranian leadership went on a rampage, slaughtering hundreds of people that they accuse of being involved, being spies for Israel. So it's these people are sacrificing so much just to achieve their freedom. And I think Israel, we saw with the bombing of that, the prison where they hold all of these dissidents, which is a horrible prison, the things they've done to people, the torture that they've done to people in that building. And to see Israel blow the doors off of that prison so that the people could get out and help to launch this revolution. It's just an amazing thing to see. This is the same people, Perry, that we hear the world say, Israel is killing Christians in Gaza. We saw that with Tucker Carlson communicating that Israel was intentionally killing Christians in Gaza, as Israel has been trying to fight this war with Hamas, which we know is not true. But what is the MO of the terrorists? It's killing innocent men, women, and children, killing even their own. So we hope and we pray for these people to be able to achieve their freedom.
You mentioned earlier, Lori, that the MAGA movement seems to be divided over this, and many of them want us to be more, deal more in isolationism. In other words, just for America, stay out of these wars, don't get involved in anything that could result in a long-term war. And I was surprised to see those who are opposing the president on this particular movement as denuking Iran. I mean, I'm trying to figure out in my mind who and why would somebody on the MAGA side be against this?
Well, we have a history of anti-Semitism within the conservative movement. And even within the Christian world, for 2,000 years, we've seen Jew hatred rise up. Why would they do this, Perry?
Yeah.
You would think that, these are the descendants of the God of Abraham. And if God made a covenant with these people that was everlasting, and if you look at Isaiah 11, and to me, Isaiah 11 says it all, where in verse 11, Ephraim and Judah would unite together in the last days against the enemies coming against Israel from the west, Hamas, and the east, Iran. Now we know who it is. And to see us both come together like this is just amazing. It's biblically the most profound thing. And I have been saying for the longest time, we cannot turn our back on Israel. I understand not getting into these long wars. I'm against going into Ukraine and into Russia. We shouldn't be involved in that. This is something they should have worked out themselves. We could help with, diplomatic relations, but not putting our people on the ground, not using our resources to supply this war. But when it comes to Israel, there's one nation we can't turn our back on, because we are told through the prophets over and over, judgment will come. The book of Obadiah is very clear that God said in the last days he was going to wipe out the descendants of Edom because they stood by while their brother Jacob was held in captivity and they did nothing. These people on the other side of the MAGA movement are not biblically oriented. They may say they're Christians and they may go to church on Sunday, but they don't read the prophets. They don't read the scriptures. We will be judged if we stand by while we watch Iran attack our friend and our ally, our brethren in the faith. There will be judgment to pay.
Oh, wow, that's good stuff. I got some more questions, but let me ask you one quick one before I take a break. This particular attack on Iran, as we know, you had Hamas, you had Hezbollah, you got Houthis, you've got Syria over here, which is kind of going crazy. You got all this together coming after Israel, and it looks like Israel, for the most part, has neutralized those influences. Mm-hmm. And then after Saturday night taking out the nuclear capability of Iran, someone said that all of this seems to be a plan to neutralize the military capability of Iran before a regime change, because if it's after a regime change, then whoever would follow the Ayatollah would have something to work with. In the meantime, if Ayatollah is taken out, who's ever left has nothing to work with. Is that plausible?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is what the other half of the MAGA movement is missing. If we don't remove their ability to create a nuclear weapon to take not only take out Israel. Remember, we just saw people, since this happened, we just saw leaders of other countries who have said that they're going to loan their nuclear weapons to Iran. This is crazy. These people, we have to remember, this is an Islamic war. We are fighting against Islam. And they're not going to just walk away and sign a peace treaty and get along with everybody. What happened with Saudi Arabia is absolutely amazing. The UAE, it's fantastic. But we're talking about Shia Muslims, and we have to understand that Shia Muslims hate Jews and they hate Christians. And they have made it very clear. I was watching a video of a guy in Dearborn, Michigan. This is here in the United States of America yesterday. And he was saying that because of what happened, the Muslims are going to rise up in America and we are going to kill you all. He's talking to us. So if these people on the MAGA side think that if we just, do like Neville Chamberlain did and just, try to remove ourselves and think that we're going to be able to get through this peacefully, this is not going to be peaceful existence. This is the fulfillment of prophecy. And Ezekiel 38:39 is so relevant today, right now. We can try and do what we're trying to do, and the world is watching, and the world is actually seeing who these Islamists really are. They're not going to stop. Hamas is not going to stop. Hezbollah is not going to stop. They're going to ramp up their efforts after this. They have been embarrassed before the world because the United States, in collaboration with our brother Judah, Israel, took down the weapon systems, the nuclear systems in Iran. And that doesn't look well for them. They look weak, and that's the last thing Islamic countries want to appear.
Do you think Iran, it's not that they care about this, but did they kind of lay the groundwork for suicide, so to speak, when they attacked Qatar? Now, they attacked our base at Qatar, but they attacked Qatar, and Qatar has condemned it forcefully. So you got Iran attacking their own. Isn't that interesting?
Well, truth be told, it looked like a soft white glove. Got to do our part to make it look like we're, on the side of the West, right, and we're on Trump's side. We're with Israel. We're with the United States. Yeah. You can't trust Qatar. Qatar has kind of been noticeably silent, right, with all of this going on. But Qatar is at work, and Perry, Qatar is in my crosshairs. I have been working to expose them and their influence in education. Speaking of education and Iran, we're going to really see if these people are legit. And this is what I say when I meet with congressmen. How do we know that we can really trust these people and rely on these people? We'll know because they'll start teaching their children to love their neighbor. They'll teach their kids the golden rule. If they don't, and we don't see a change in the curriculum and the textbooks in their countries, I think that speaks loudly to all of us. When they start changing the content and they stop teaching their kids to hate America and hate Israel, to stop teaching their kids to shout death to America, death to Israel, then I'll believe them. Until then, not so much.
So do you think that President Trump's visit to Qatar when he was in the Middle East, didn't go to Israel, but he did all the nations over there, was deliberate in the sense that this attack was coming and it kind of just neutralized him for a little bit?
I think it was part of his strategy. And personally, I think it was a brilliant strategy. At the time, I was a bit concerned. Why isn't he stopping in Israel? What does this look like? Optics is everything in the Middle East. And the optics of him flying over Israel to go to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE, and then flying home over those same countries and not landing in Israel just to stop in and say, hello, baby, you're Betty. I think it was part of his plan to keep everybody in the dark. It was a brilliant strategy, executed flawlessly. So proud and excited about the victory and our soldiers and the Israeli, the IDF, collaborating, working together. In fact, I have a friend who used to fly B-2 bombers, and I texted her the other day and asked her what she thought about the Operation Midnight Hammer. And she responded back and said, go big or don't go at all.
Yeah.
I think that says it all.
All right, let me take a quick break. Always a delight to have with us Lori Cardozo-Moore. She is the president and founder of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, and you can tell she's right on top of it. pjtn.org is the website. Very resourceful. And let me encourage you to go there and support her. pjtn.org. We'll be right back.
Jetboat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
EMS says we're going to take her to the hospital. More doctors and more machines start coming. So I said, what's going on? She says, they're giving her chest compressions. I said, for what? She said, she can't breathe. And I said, God, I say, this is your child. I said, I trust you.
Tuesday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Always a delight to have with us Lori Cardozo-Moore, the founder and president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, one of the great organizations out there. Not to mention her other passion is textbook integrity and curriculum. We'll talk about that a little bit. She does have a website, pjtn.org, and there's a picture of the landing page. Lori, just one other quick thing about all this. There's been a lot of talk, but nothing has happened about the potential of terrorist cells within the United States, especially with the border toboggle through the Biden administration. If there's anything that would trigger that, you would think this past weekend would have been it. What's your take?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. So, like I mentioned in the earlier portion of this interview, We have Islamist Muslims who are in our country who are now feeling emboldened to publicly say they're coming after us. And we think that the war is going to remain over there in the Middle East. No, we've known for a long time. We've seen there was an incident where an Iranian tried to, or actually killed another official in Washington, D.C. several years ago. So we know that they're here. We know that they're operating. They're waiting to get the cue. I think we're getting closer and closer. It's critically important that we let our congressmen and our senators know we want this issue dealt with, and we want it dealt with immediately because our national security interests are at risk now. We have allowed these people in. Again, I'm concerned about our relationship with Qatar because I know Qatar has been involved in indoctrinating our children, K through 12 and higher ed campuses. We see how Qatar is paying and funding for the violent rallies and attacks of Jewish students on college campuses. We've seen the content in Pearson textbooks that Qatar is funding. That's the other thing with Qatar. I want to know, is Qatar changing the curriculum in their nation's schools? What are they teaching their kids about America? What are they teaching their kids about Israel? Because we know what they're teaching our kids, to hate America, to hate Israel. That's why we have our kids that are in K through 12 grades that are marching in the streets with these terrorist groups, or these people who are supporting Hamas, these terrorist groups on our campuses. It's very frightening. We've got to start speaking up. And one of the things which leads into the whole education initiative, one of the things is the education reform that we have recommended to President Trump. And we need President Trump. I'm asking repeatedly. I know he's got his hands full, but this is critically important. If we want to salvage our country, the future of our republic, so that our children will have a place, a country to grow up in that will be free and share the liberties that we have grown up sharing. If we're going to do this, we have got to call for an emergency review of civics, social studies, history standards that are being taught across the country. We need to President Trump can encourage the departments of education in all the states to adopt the Florida's Department of Education's standards when it comes to civics, social studies, and history. We don't have to get into all the other subject matter, but our kids should be learning civics every year. In order to undo the damage that's been done over the last 2 decades, really almost 3 decades, of what we've been teaching our children, we have to reverse course, and we've got to start teaching our kids why America is great, why our relationship with Israel is unique, being a Judeo-Christian nation. So I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the most important issues that we have, that we're going to be confronting in the weeks and the months and the years to come. While we've got Trump in office, we need to work while we can.
How did the public school curriculum get infiltrated from a foreign country?
Well, it really started back in 1974, back with the oil embargo. You remember with the Saudis. It started back then. In order to get the oil turned back on, we agreed, because the Saudis wanted access to our children. So we agreed as a country, okay, we'll let you have our university. Well, they gave Berkeley to the Saudis, and that's where it started. It's been growing ever since. So as this has mushroomed, and we're teaching the future educators this propaganda about America and about Israel, we see the impact of that on our children. And of course, notably is what has been happening on the college campuses in our country, in K through 12 education, teachers, Jewish teachers, being locked in the closet in their classroom because they were fearful of their K through 12. This was high school kids getting hold of her, knowing she was Jewish. This type of activity that's been going on has been because we have been directly educating them. And Qatar, it used to be back in 2012 when we started doing the research on the infiltration of Islamists into K through 12 education into our textbooks. Pearson Publishers is the biggest. They are the delivery platform for all this hatred and this propaganda. But we've been, since 2012, we found a quote in a Pearson published textbook that legitimized Palestinians blowing themselves up in a Jerusalem restaurant because they were waging a war against Israeli government policies and army actions. When I found that, I took the book and went cover to cover. Not only was there anti-Israel, anti-Semitic content, but there was anti-American, anti the Judeo-Christian values our nation was founded upon. That's why the United States and Israel are so uniquely intertwined, because we stand on those biblical truths. We share those biblical truths. It goes back to 1974. But if you look at, George Washington is rolling in his grave watching what's happened to this country, because we've seen anti-Semitism expand in this country. And not just in the public school setting, but even within Christian churches, we see a growing movement of Christians who are starting to recite the blood libels, much like Candace Owens. She accuses the Jews of killing Christian kids to take their blood. This is a blood libel that goes back to medieval times, and she's talking about it as if it were happening today. Very frightening to see that this is happening. But Washington, after the revolution was fought, the Jewish community at the Toro Synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island, wrote a letter to Washington and said, how are we going to fare with this newfound country, these newfound colonies following this revolution? And George Washington went to them and quoted from the book of Micah and told them that they're basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but you can look it up yourself, that Judah, or that their days of wandering were over, and that they would sit under their own vine and their own fig tree, and they would know peace. George Washington knew the history of Jews, that Jews, when revolutions had been fought throughout Europe, Jews had to pack up their families and go to another location to be safe. Washington was communicating to them, those days are done. You will find peace in this country. That's the foundation of our country. And so that history needs to be taught to our children.
Beautiful. One other quick question, Lori, before I run out of time. As you know, the president and his administration working for the dismantling of the Department of Education. And I'm sure you have some comments on that, but that would push all of this back to the 50 states. And to your point, that means that parents have to be the hawk on curriculum research at the state level. Or am I missing something here?
No, Perry, we've been so lazy. We've been derelict in our duties. We have not obeyed the commands of the Lord. The Lord told us to teach these things, teach the Torah, teach the Bible to our children and our children's children throughout their generations. Well, in the early years of this country, we used to. It was families teaching families. Every once in a while, you would have a one teacher classroom where they would teach our kids, but the Bible was always central to being taught. We look at governors or superintendents of the state schools in Oklahoma who has brought the Bible back into the classroom, teaching the Bible as a history book. The Bible is the most important textbook, the most important book our children can have in their classrooms to learn and understand why America is great. We have to teach our kids that history, and it's because of our biblical position. It's why we left England, why we didn't want to worship under the King James. We wanted to worship God in spirit and in truth according to his word. And so those things have to be taught back to our children. And yes, President Trump, again, with all of the things he has on his plate, this is the most important thing. He needs to tell the states to bring civics back into the classrooms in each of the states every year to reinforce our values. We also need to make sure that our kids are learning about the unique role that Israel has played, that Jews have played. We also need to teach them about the role that Islam has played, because the Barbary pirates, our kids need to understand that we went to war with Islam because they were taking captive our merchant marines, our merchant vessels, and holding them captive. We need to teach them about the importance that Jews have played in our nation's founding as well to combat the anti-Semitism.
Wonderful. Good to see you. Thank you for your time. You're so inspiring. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, pjtn.org is the website. There's a picture of the landing page. Very resourceful. Check out all of our resources there in support of PJTN. Lori, you're a delight. Thank you, my friend. Stay in the fight. We need you.
Amen. You too, Perry. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thanks.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Experience evangelism like never before.
It's not about finding ourselves. It's not about being true to ourselves. It's about being born again.
Way of the Master's dynamic co-host team delivers captivating witnessing encounters.
That makes you feel uncomfortable because you're doing things you know you shouldn't. Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
Bold street witnessing that will leave you inspired and equipped to share your faith. Watch Way of the Master Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 5 on the Dove TV. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Washington Watch, thanks so much for joining us.
Bringing you up close to newsmakers, members of Congress, and prominent pro-family leaders from across the nation.
That's just the tip of the iceberg of the threats and the dangers that children are facing online.
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council, a former state legislature, ordained minister, police officer, and veteran of the Marine Corps.
Terrorism experts are sounding the alarm.
And welcome to the Washington Watch News Desk.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
Well, this is a state issue. The federal government shouldn't be forcing these states.
Don't miss Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights at 6 only on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative. Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekolo on the Dove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute and then determining what crime they could charge them with.
You can't believe this is the country we're living in, that this is happening.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekolo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
This is just not the right precedent we want to be setting, even if we don't like Donald Trump.
This is just all-out chaos, and that's what could happen very soon.
Watch Sekolo for issues that matter.
Okay, welcome back. And, well, the economy is always part of the conversation these days. Oil prices took a real downward turn over the last day or so. So it's always a joy and appropriate and, quite frankly, an honor to have with us Professor Michael Busler. He's a public policy analysis professor of finance at the Stockton University there in New Jersey. He does have his own website, muckrack.com/Michael Busler, and you can go there to check out a lot of his material. There's a picture of the landing page. Again, that's muckrack.com/Michael Busler. Professor, how you doing, buddy?
Doing very well, Perry. Always my pleasure to be here.
Well, you're the man. You know, someday I'm going to pass your class, but just about the time I get a handle on it, something happens, and I don't have a handle on it.
Well, let's see if we can figure it all out.
Okay. All right. The oil prices really dropped over the last day or so. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think oil prices were a little higher than the market indicated they should be, mostly because of the uncertainty associated with Iran and Iran's oil production. Now that politically has, and from a war standpoint, has seemed to be resolved, oil prices are going to where the true market price should be. And I think oil's dropping down in the low 60s. President Trump is pushing domestic producers to increase production. So I think the price of oil will go down even further. And that's good news for us that drive cars. Gasoline prices will continue to go down also. We'll probably be, by the end of the year, and there's a lot of variables here, but by the end of the year, we're probably looking at gas well under $3 a gallon.
So do you think mixed into that will be the fulfillment of the changes of opening the pipeline, drill, baby, drill?
Yeah. So what President Trump has said is that the prior administration took so much action that reduced the supply of oil. They made the permitting process very difficult. They didn't allow drilling on federal lands, and they closed some potential drilling areas in Alaska. Well, that restricted the supply of oil. And when you restrict the supply of anything, the price goes up, and oil and gasoline went up in price. President Trump is reversing all of that. He's making the permitting process much easier. He's allowing drilling on federal lands, including up in Alaska. That will result in an increased supply in oil and bring the oil prices down. President Trump's someone on the back burner here. You may recall the Keystone Pipeline. It was supposed to be built essentially from the northern part of the country all the way down to the refineries. It was all set to go. Biden, literally his first day in office, withdrew the permit for that. And of course, that helped restrict the supply of oil. It's going to take a little time to revive that, but President Trump has allowed that to go through. It might be, close to a year before it's fully operational, but that too will continue to drive the price of oil down, and that will have a very positive effect on overall inflation, bringing the inflation rate down even lower.
Does all of this energy price have an impact on the dollar?
So it does have somewhat of an impact. There's so many other factors that impact the dollar. The American dollar is very strong today and continues to be strong. The issue that will really have an impact on the dollar is what happens to the public debt. And if Congress is able to reduce the deficit, and eventually, the goal is supposed to be to try to balance the federal budget. It's a very difficult thing to do. We haven't done that in almost 3 decades, but eventually we're going to have to do that, bring the deficit down, eventually work on bringing the debt down. That will have more of a positive impact on the dollar also.
In the meantime, the big, beautiful bill's working its way through the Senate. Majority Leader Thune says he'd like to get it out for the president by July 4th, which is only a week away. And apparently it's on track to do that. I guess there's a lot of questions about the BBB, but does it in the long term bring down the deficit?
Not as much as most conservatives would like. However, the problem is, let's look at the deficit. The problem is not on the tax revenue side. Every year, I think except 2023, every year in the last 10, total tax revenue has increased. The deficit has skyrocketed because government spending has exploded. 6 years ago, 2019, the federal government spent $4.5 trillion per year. This year, the federal government's budget is $7 trillion. So there's been a huge increase in government spending. So what do? Well, President Trump said before he got into office, he's going to find the smartest people he knows, bring them in, and help make the government more efficient and cut government spending. And DOGE found a lot of areas where government spending could be cut. The problem is, while every politician will say, I'm in favor of cutting government spending, just don't cut it in any area where it affects me or my constituents. Mm-hmm. And that's what the problem is. For instance, Musk found in Medicaid millions of people collecting Medicaid who are not eligible to collect. So the big, beautiful bill said, we're going to make it so these people who are not eligible to collect, we're going to make it so they are indeed not collecting. Well, the other side said, you're going to kick millions of people off of Medicaid. What a horrible thing this is to do. You can't cut Medicaid. And that's the problem they run into with virtually every program. Yes, cut government spending, just don't cut it in any program where it affects me or my constituents. And that's why we're having such a difficult time. The big, beautiful bill, the House of Representatives came up with a compromise to get as much spending cuts as they could. Some of the more conservative senators and members of the Senate, Rand Paul, for instance, he says government spending has to be cut much more. And frankly, I would agree with him. The problem is, politically, you'll never get it to go through. So what I would say is, and I'll quote Ronald Reagan, half a loaf of bread is better than none. So let's get whatever cuts we can through now. Next budget, we'll try to get a little bit more through. We haven't, except for a few years in the 90s, 96 to 2000, we haven't balanced the budget in over 60 years. So it's been since 1962 we really had a balanced budget. After that, we've had deficits, except for those 4 years in the 90s. So this has been building up for a long time, and it's going to take a lot of time until we're able to resolve this. Not so much from an economic standpoint, we know what we should do, but from a political standpoint, you have to get a majority in the House and Senate to vote for this. Otherwise, it's not going to go through, and there's where we have to start making compromises.
Well, there's an old saying, the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So this bill is maybe a nibble, but followed up by the $92 billion additional cut bill from the House, that's a pretty good first bite, don't you think?
It is a good first bite. It's not going to satisfy a lot of the conservatives who say, look, spending increased, as I mentioned, from $4.5 trillion up to $7 trillion in 6 years. There's a lot of fat and waste we could cut out of there. But, and they're right, there is a lot, but politically, it's very difficult to do. Mm-hmm. Take that first bite, and we'll come back next year and try to take a little bigger bite.
Is one of the great motives behind the BBB to make permanent the tax cuts from the first term of the Trump administration?
That's extremely important. So what Trump did in 2017 went into effect in 2018. He said, look, everybody says they pay too much in taxes. And frankly, I agree with them. So I want to be fair. I'm going to cut everybody's taxes by 10%. No matter how much you paid last year, we're going to cut how much you paid by 10%, which to me seemed to be very fair. Now, the Democrats didn't agree with that because they said millionaires are getting bigger tax breaks. And that's true. I mean, if somebody pays $1 million a year in taxes, you take 10% off of that, it's $100,000. Somebody only pays $10,000 a year in taxes, you take 10% off of that, it's only $1,000. So from a dollar standpoint, it looks like the wealthy are getting big tax breaks. But again, in my view, it's fair. Everybody's taxes were cut by 10%. In order to get it through, they said the tax cuts will only last 8 years. So at the end of 2025 and 2026, they expire unless Congress makes them permanent, which is part of this big, beautiful bill. If they don't do that, every taxpayer's taxes are going to go up by 10%, the same 10% that they cut. So it's extremely important that this gets passed. In addition, there's some tax cuts for people that really need it. Hospitality workers who are typically in a little lower income, they won't get taxed on their tips. People on Social Security, they're having a tough time too. They're not going to tax Social Security anymore. So this bill has to get passed, and if it's not quite what everybody wanted, so be it. But at least the main points will get passed.
Just a quick question. So, did I hear you say that the no tax on Social Security is in this bill?
It is in this bill, yeah.
What about
right now?
What about tax on tips? Is that in this bill?
That's in this bill too. No tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security, and no tax on people working overtime.
Okay, good. All right, let me take a quick break. Check out the professor's website, muckrack.com/Michael Busler. There's a picture of the landing page. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Now notice when Jesus called his disciples, he never hid from them the fact that to follow him meant suffering, persecution, and death. We have a great deal of what someone has called cheap grace. Easy to follow Christ. Easy to get in the church. In Jesus' day, he called them to suffering. He didn't call them to a playground. He called them to a battlefield. He called them to war, spiritual war. And he said, you're going to suffer, and you're going to be wounded, and you're going to die in my cause, because the world is going to reject me. This world that's dominated by evil and sin will reject me.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, welcome back. Always a delight and an honor to have with us Professor Michael Busler, Public Policy Analysis and Professor of Finance there at Stockton University in New Jersey. He does have a website. Check it out, muckrack.com/Michael Busler. Professor, I know that you have been very critical of the Fed's Chairman Powell and the way he's managed the interest rates. It's also frustrated the president beyond measure. They've actually sparred a little bit even this week. But the Fed's moment to act decisively seems to be upon them. Do you think the chairman is going to kick the can down the road, or where do you think this is going to go?
Chairman Powell has been the worst Fed, in my view, the worst Fed chair since Arthur Burns in the 70s, and we had all kinds of problems with him. Chair Powell has made mistake after mistake. Let me real quickly. He gets into office in 2018. Congress passes a tax cut to stimulate the economy for no reason at all. He raises interest rates 4 times. Now, 2019, he realized he made a mistake. It slowed down growth, and he cut interest rates again, but that was a big mistake. Then from January of 2021 to June of 2022, those 18 months, inflation went from 1.4% up to 9%. He didn't do anything. He kept the federal funds rate near zero. He kept the bond buying program going to stimulate the economy. His actions made matters worse. Finally, in June of 2022, he realized he made a mistake and he starts aggressively raising interest rates. He made another mistake last September. He wants the inflation rate to go down to 2%. It got down to 2.4% last September. The economy was growing at a 3% rate. He decides to cut interest rates 3 times. That spiked inflation, brought it back up to 2.9% in January. The Trump administration has brought it down close to the goal of 2%. Meanwhile, the economy is slowing down. It grew only 2.3% in the fourth quarter. We had negative growth in the first quarter. It's time to cut interest rates. He should have cut them in May. He didn't. He should have cut them in June. He didn't. And I don't think they meet again until September. Most economists will tell you if the federal funds rate is in the 3.25% range, that's neutral. You're not slowing down. You're not speeding up. Anything above that, you're tending to slow the economy down. Between 3 and 3.25% is neutral. We're at 5.3%. It's a restrictive interest rate, which tends to slow the economy down, and inflation has come down using the preferred index of the Fed, Personal Consumption Expenditure, PCE. The inflation's down to 2.1%, and the economy has stopped growing, and the unemployment rate is going to start to tick up. He should have cut interest rates the last 2 meetings. He's always too late. And President Trump has given him the name Too Late Powell because he's way behind here. The Federal Reserve is supposed to stay ahead of these things and fend off any trouble. Should cut the interest rates immediately. I don't think he will until September.
Can the president fire him?
I don't think so. I think they set it up so the Federal Reserve, what we call a quasi-public agency, he's appointed for a 4-year term, and then that can be renewed, I think, 2 or 3 times. I don't think the president can fire him. And even if he tried to do it, I'm afraid of some of the negative impacts. His best bet is to try to convince the Federal Reserve, which he's trying to do, to bring the interest rates down at least to a neutral level. Below 3%, you'd be stimulating the economy. He's afraid the tariffs might have some inflationary impact, so he doesn't want to cut interest rates yet. But we've seen President Trump took office, inflation was 2.9%. It's down to 2.3% measured by the Consumer Price Index. So it doesn't look like any of this is having any of a negative impact on tariffs. And at the same time, energy prices are falling. And even if there is some upward pressure on prices from tariffs, energy prices, which account directly for 7% of the Consumer Price Index, indirectly for a little more because it affects the cost of manufacturing, the price of energy will fall, and that will keep the inflation rate low. He's making a huge mistake, and it's hurting the American economy and the American public.
It just seems to me, with all due respect, seems to be just overly political, because there's another part of this. If he brought the interest rates down, that would be exactly what the home real estate market needs right now. I mean, you talk about something that would set afire the economy, make homes affordable.
Exactly. There's so many people that I know there's so many people trying to buy a house with the price of houses up where they are. They're struggling, and then they go get a mortgage. It's a 7% mortgage. Even a variable rate is not much better. If he brought the interest rates down 1 full percentage point, which is what President Trump suggested, and again, that would bring the federal funds rate to 4.3%, still above the neutral range. But if he did that, mortgage rates would come down by a full percentage point too, and the housing market would be stimulated again. That would help home builders. More importantly, would help consumers trying to get into houses. He's doing a very great disservice to the American economy.
Could the feds be eliminated?
So there has been talk of that over the years, and they say just let the Treasury Department influence and control the money supply. The problem with that is the Treasury is run by a Secretary of the Treasury who's a member of the President's cabinet, and in theory, we're trying to keep the Federal Reserve out of politics. So they say if it's a separate agency, nobody has to run for re-election. These people are just appointed. It should be apolitical. Now, you bring up a good point. Is that the case? It certainly doesn't look like that. So it could be eliminated. I'm afraid there might be as much bad that came along with that than good.
Okay. Any other cautionary happenings out there economically that maybe we're missing here?
So in the short term, things are still a little bit unstable, mostly because of the trade agreements. So the only one that's really been signed so far is the one with England. And that's going to be a model for, I think, all of them. What is that? There's going to be a 10% reciprocal tariff. Now, I'm a free market economist. I'd prefer to see zero tariffs on everybody and all products, and that would be better in my view. But President Trump says, I want the tariffs to be a revenue generator. So I'll keep a modest tariff, 10%. The other countries, our trading partners, agree 10% also. What that will do, it will open foreign markets to U.S. manufacturers, especially in the agricultural industry. The Americans are very good at producing and very efficient at producing food, yet nearly every country has high tariffs or quotas that limit access to those markets. Once these trade agreements are signed, American manufacturers will have access to these foreign markets, and that will lead to a lot of growth. Now, President Trump also said, well, I'll settle for 10% on everything, except there are certain products vital to the national security: steel, aluminum, copper, medical supplies. Those products, Trump says, should be made in America, even if it means we have to pay a little higher price. So in order to keep foreign competition out, he's placed 25% tariffs on those products, and on steel, foreign steel, he placed the 50% tariff. He wants the U.S. steel manufacturing industry to rebound again. This deal, the partnership with Nippon, is extremely efficient at producing steel, and U.S. steel here in America, that will lead to more U.S. production of steel in the U.S., albeit the price might be a little bit higher because he's keeping the inexpensive foreign steel out of the country.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Professor, thank you for your time. We value it greatly. Say to our viewers and listeners, muckrack.com/Michael Busler is the website where you can go. Again, that's muckrack.com/Michael Busler. Professor, stay in there. We need you, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Always my pleasure to be here, Perry. Take care.
This morning's weather and the Dove weather cameras are brought to you by Grange Co-op. They have what you need for your farm, ranch, apparel, garden, pet, and home.